Disclaimer. I do not claim ownership of this story. All rights belong to the original creators. Title: One Piece, Adopting Doflamingo. Chapter 41 Tour of Alabasta Recommended Ticket added. Chapter 41 Tour of Alabasta, Poison Spot, recommended ticket added. After a few days of rushing, a group of people came to the capital of Alabasta, Albana. Albana, as the capital, is naturally very prosperous. There are also people here to meet Adri, take them to the place where they are staying, and simply tidy up and put things away. Adri then ordered Noah, when the time comes, go and take a stroll with Robin. Robin, my father is going to talk about something, you just follow Uncle No. To play. Robin nodded in a very sensible way, expressing clearly that she naturally understands Adri's busy business, and she wants to make her father feel at ease. This is a compulsory course for her father's dearest little padded jacket. Robin took number one's hand and walked outside, not forgetting to wave goodbye to Adri. Number one was flattered by the lady holding hands, but fortunately Robin let go of her hand when she got outside and started wandering in this strange city, where there were many things she had never seen before. Some people were even selling golden apples. Robin stepped forward very curiously, but walked away as if nothing had happened after finding out that it was just paint. Robin was still curious about the new things around him. It was really interesting to look around. On the way, a little boy with dark tea and short hair accidentally bumped into Robin. After a quick apology, he left quickly, and behind him was a group of children of similar age, shouting, "Shasha Tuan is here." The adults around looked at these children with kind expressions. During the next tour, he saw a group of people, said to be Alabasta's escort. Among them was a young man with an extremely conspicuous appearance. His eye sockets were painted with deep purple makeup of four-pointed starflowers, and he wore 2 orange necklaces. Seeing them, the surrounding people backed away respectfully and greeted them warmly. From this, they could also learn that the young man's name was Bell. On the other side, Adri was already negotiating with the king, and the two had a very happy conversation. And this king was none other than Nafarutali Cobra, who was in his prime. "Mr. Adri, I heard that you have 2 sons and a daughter." "What a blessing. Where, it's better to be a daughter. The other 2 bastards are always worrying. I heard that your princess is pregnant. I still want to congratulate you. I would like to be a daughter, so that she can look as beautiful as her mother. As you said, she is the father's little fan." Adri and Cobra looked at each other and smiled, while Princess Titi also covered her mouth and smiled lowly. In the evening, Robin was telling Adri about what he saw and heard today, and Adri listened patiently, and a smooth night passed like this. On the second day, Robin felt that there was nothing to visit, and Adri decided to take Robin to their primary goal this time, to see rare animals. Alabasta is still very unique in this respect. While wandering in the desert on a Karoo duck, Robin saw many interesting small animals, including moving crabs and deceiving birds, especially deceiving birds. Robin was almost deceived, and now he is still a little bit small. Bear grudges. Of course, there are also huge lizards, but Robin doesn't intend to bring small animals home. This is the best place for them. Soon they came to a Gobi desert near the seaside. At this time, a group of kung fu manatees were entrenched on the Gobi desert. They were constantly learning from each other. Only he has been grinding his fists and wants to come up at any time. No. Got off the duck immediately after getting Adri's approval, and specially found a kung fu manatee. "Father, is this a turtle? Or a manatee?" The kung fu manatee owner has a turtle shell and a manatee's body, very aggressive. "Robin, this is the kung fu manatee, isn't it cute?" Robin got a blush too. Indeed, very cute. Because of the entry of No, all the kung fu manatees are focused on this place at this time. They stretch out one arm, shouting and cheering there. At this time, the kung fu manatee standing opposite No stretched its arms as if shouting, "Something is coming." Then in an instant, there were a few more bags on the manatee's head just now. At that moment, all the kung fu manatees came swarming over the place. "Father, what's wrong with them? Are they unable to afford the loss and want to beat up No?" Robin asked innocently. "No, It's just that the rule of Kung Fu Manatee is that whoever wins will worship the other as his teacher. Saying that, the group of Kung Fu Manatees paid homage to No. In unison. Number 1 looked at Adrian helplessly. Whatever. No. Immediately felt relieved. In his opinion, teaching others things, especially Kung Fu Manatee, is a bit awkward. Then No taught Kung Fu to the manatees and flicked their tails. They were very clever and learned it all at once, and they continued to look forward to number 1's teaching, but at this time number 1 said, now, you go together, I will hit 100. No one knew that Noah's face under the mask was already blushing when he said this, and No felt ashamed, but he had been looking forward to this sentence for a long time, and it was rare to be able to say it like this. Wow! Father, number 1 is so domineering. Hearing Robin's praise, the blush on Noah's face deepened a little, and he took a deep breath. Kung Fu Manatee decided to go together after a short thought. Obviously, a complete failure. You still have shortcomings, keep working hard, and we will meet again by fate. No. Didn't say a word after that, and silently rode on Kaluuya. Robin also counted the eye addiction, and everyone left. On the way, Noah's waist bent lower and lower. At this moment, his face under the mask was like a reddish watermelon. If it weren't for Adri's side, he would have wanted to kill himself, and he would have done this kind of thing in a flash. Thinking about it, I want to bury myself in the sun, and I am ashamed to see others. Robin looked at Noah's abnormality and asked, what happened to number 1? Adri glanced at suicide and replied, it's okay, he just read too many martial arts novels recently. The group came to the beach again, when a cat's head emerged from the bottom of the sea. It's a sea cat, Robin said excitedly. I read it in a book. The sea cat has the characteristic that the upper body is a cat and the lower body is a fish, and is regarded as a sacred symbol by the people of Alabasta. At this time, Hai Mao was squinting his eyes, looking at the group of people, and then approached Robin. Under Hai Mao's huge body, Robin looked very thin. The sea cat approached Robin and rubbed it fiercely, and Robin couldn't help reaching out to stroke it. It can be seen that Robin's face is already flushed now, and he has used both hands. Sea cat also seemed to enjoy Robin's petting and even licked Robin. So now the question is, does this sea cat eat fish, or does it eat fish, or does it eat fish? If there are enough tickets, I can update to 45 chapters in one go. End of this chapter. Chapter 42 The Encounter between Doflamingo and Rosindi. Chapter 42 The Encounter between Doflamingo and Rosindi. Doflamingo will be very busy, so he took the time to tell Adri about the recent situation, and after he was not suitable for playing, he refused. Recently, I don't know why the Navy's hunting volume is increasing. Although Doflamingo is weak, he is hard to defend against. The repeated attacks have worn his patience a bit. Occasionally, Doflamingo would teach these annoying flies a lesson, but most of the time, he would withdraw before the Navy arrived, leaving the other party in vain. To be honest, Doflamingo already knew this would happen when he sought his reward order, but it was still very troublesome. This time, Doflamingo was resting at the temporary station, occasionally training the little guys in the pirate group, occasionally leading the family to earn some money, and now his power is developing. It makes sense that Doflamingo is unwilling to accept Adri's help, just as Adri never interferes in the internal affairs of the Doflamingo family. Because there are some things to be distinguished, the Don Quixote family belongs exclusively to Doflamingo, while the Chamber of Commerce belongs to Adri. If Adri helped him during this time, then Doflamingo would be mixed with some unnecessary things, and then there would be too many things to talk about, which would be troublesome. The best way is to propose a deal simply as a pirate. Of course, the target of the deal is some secret units of the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce. Obviously, it is too early to want to cooperate simply putting aside Doflamingo's status as the eldest master, so now Doflamingo is stepping up his efforts to expand his power and achieve equal cooperation between the two parties in the transaction as soon as possible. Doflamingo straightened his tie and took out a bottle of wine to taste. This wine was produced from the part that Adri had given as a gift. Top quality goods. At this moment, someone suddenly broke in. Doflamingo was a little displeased. Even if it was a family member, it would be a little bad not to knock on the door. I say that, Dover, here comes the Navy. Toribol, who came in, was a little at a loss, with snot still hanging on his nose. Doflamingo stood up and stretched. It's not that I haven't been here before, why are you in a panic this time? Dover, now, it's a warship of the Navy headquarters. What? Doflamingo immediately threw away the bottle and walked out, and ordered. Assemble the manpower and set sail immediately. Doflamingo put on his feather coat and took out his binoculars, but saw a familiar face, Crane. How is it possible? Why did it appear here? Yora. How long will it take to sail? Young master, it's still 10 minutes. What? I have to figure out a way. Pika also came at this time. Young master, why don't we fight, merely? What do you know, that's the Crane from the Navy headquarters. What, could it be her? Why did you come to Beihai? That's what I'm curious about. It's not easy to do. It seems that there are already plans to send adults to arrest me. Soon, the naval warship approached, and Doflamingo looked across the boat pretending to be calm, and said hello. Fufurfur, Crane, long time no see. Crane said calmly. Doflamingo, didn't your father teach you not to call your elders by their names? I'm so sorry, Crane, I even call my father by his first name. Okay, Dover, just surrender and be a good boy. Good boy? I'm so sorry, I refuse. Just like that, they fell into a predicament all of a sudden, and the two sides were on the verge of breaking out, and the war was about to begin. On the other side, Navy Headquarters General Waring states, "What can I do for you?" Rocinante performed military salutes. Sengoku waved his hand. Well, Rosie, it's not necessary in private. Then he greeted Rosindi's. Waring states hesitated for a moment, then said to Rosinindi, how much do you know about your brother? You have to know that brother Ni has become a pirate who does all kinds of evil. Rosindi lowered his head and fell into deep thought, then raised his head and replied resolutely, I've made up my mind. I want to stop my brother's evil deeds. Okay, very good, I appreciate your determination. You should read this document, you'd better think about it, I don't want to force you. Waring states handed over a document, all of which were Doflamingo's recent actions, such as looting towns, murder and arson. When the Waring states period was watched by Rosindi, he said to the Sage Crane fought your brother for the first time some time ago, but your brother escaped in the end. From then on, whenever Crane went to arrest Doflamingo, he was rushed to nothing. Rosindi gasped and remained silent. Sengoku took a deep breath, and decided to speak out his thoughts. Although it didn't want to, Crane's recent defeat made him a little dissatisfied. In order to catch the pirates, he had to do something. Zhangguo rubbed his palms, his eyes wandered. After a long internal struggle, he still spoke. Colonel Rosindi, I have an undercover mission that urgently needs personnel to participate. I don't know what you want. Rosindi raised her head sharply. Undercover, obviously, to go to Doflamingo. Indeed, as Doflamingo's younger brother, he is the most suitable undercover agent. Waring states looked at Luo Shindi's reaction, and felt self-blame and helpless in his heart. During this period of time, he had already regarded Luo Zanandi as his own son, but now he wanted to push him to the fire pit with his own hands. Waring states looked at Rosindi seriously, and warned in a deep voice. This requirement is not absolute. You have to think about whether you want to go. Rosindi was silent for a while, and said, General Waring states, this matter makes me need to think about whether I can be alone for 10 minutes. Zhangguo nodded, and walked out. He understood very well what Rosindi was feeling, how cruel it would be to deal with his own brother. Waring states now not only has feelings of guilt for Rosindi, but also has deeper and more complicated emotions for Adri, because this means that Adri's 2 children will be fratricide. This move is very harmful, and it can even be said to be insidious and cunning. Waring states can only say that they will make amends to Adri in the future. 10 minutes passed quickly, and when Zhangguo returned to the office, Rosindi had already made a decision. General of the Waring states period, I accept the task. Okay, I see. Sengoku took out a box and opened it with a key. This is a devil fruit, so it can only be used as compensation. It is also for the smooth progress of the undercover mission. This is the fruit of silence. Warring States handed the fruit to Ross Indy, along with a phone bug. Our future exchanges will be commensurate with sunbae and millet fruit. Now, I order you, Lieutenant Ross Indy, to go to perform an undercover mission. Yes. Warring States didn't know what Ross Indy did in the past 10 minutes, probably only Ross Indy and Adri knew. Why Adri? Because Ross Indy just went to ask Adri about one thing. Father, what will happen if my brother and I are on the opposite side? There will be a kind of disability. Rosie, why do you suddenly ask this kind of question? You know, you are adults now, I can't control too much, each of you has your own ideas, I don't want to interfere. You just do what you want, there were casualties Ross Indy, you have to believe me, even if you die, Father can save you back. Do you believe it, my Rosie? Xan, Father, I understand what you mean, do what we want, let go. But don't you really need to take care of you? Rosie, don't let me be a burden to your mind. Okay, I see, thank you, Father. No thanks. End of this chapter. Chapter 43 The Meeting of Two Brothers. Chapter 43 The Meeting of Two Brothers. Fufurfur, what's the matter, my dear brother, after going out for so long, you can't even speak? Doflamingo took the wineglass to serve the wine and handed it to Ross Indy. Rocinante took the wineglass, took a sip, and then put it on the table. Doflamingo looked at Ross Indy with a smile, and continued to taste his fine wine. Ross Indy took out a note from his body and handed it to Doflamingo. I can't speak. Doflamingo took the note and saw the content on it, his eyes sharpened instantly, and he said in a deep voice, "What's going on, who did it?" Ross Indy ignored it and took another sip of his wine. It's fine if you don't want to say it, so does Adri know? Ross Indy was taken aback for a moment, then slowly shook her head. Doflamingo put down the wineglass in his hand, sat up straight, with a gloomy face, pondered for a while, and said, "Then what do you want to do when you come to me?" Ross Indy took out another piece of paper from his pocket and handed it to Doflamingo. "Come join you." Doflamingo looked at the note, and slowly raised his head to look at Ross Indy. "What do you think? Didn't you still refuse before? What's wrong? Figured it out?" Ross Indy nodded, gestured, and took out a cigarette to put in his mouth, but Doflamingo took it away. "Where did you learn the bad habit?" Adrian knows that he might be angry, even though that guy also smokes. "Well, since you are here, let the name of our Don Quixote family resound throughout the sea." Doflamingo also returned to his former arrogance. He didn't want to investigate the reason why his younger brother came suddenly and why he couldn't speak. Doflamingo got up and held out his hand to Ross Indy. Ross Indy naturally put his hand up, and Doflamingo pulled him up. Doflamingo patted Ross Indy on the back. "Do it well, I'll take you to meet my family members." Speaking of which, Doflamingo took Ross Indy out. Step 1 Plan, sneak in, succeed. Adri looked at the mobile phone in his hand and fell into thought. He flipped through the photo album, looking at the photos of his two silly sons when they were young, and couldn't help laughing. Butter's photo, when they found out that it was secretly photographed, they still wanted to grab it, but they failed because of their height. Adri put down his mobile phone, looked at the sea in the distance, sighed, and muttered to himself, "It's up to you to make trouble. Anyway, with me here, I can always save the field, and no one can die." "Father, what are you talking about?" Adri turned around and found that Robin had just walked to his side, and concealed. "It's okay, I feel that time flies, your two brothers are both in their 20s. "That's right, indeed, I have lived with my father for several years." Robin felt a little emotional. She now has a warm home, but she hopes that one day she can find the historical text and uncover the blank 100 years. Robin has already made an appointment with Adri for this matter. When she grows up, she will travel around like Brother Ross Indy, but she heard that Brother Ross Indy and Brother Doflamingo are going to play there. No, they didn't take her with them. The last time I wanted to go to Brother Doflamingo's place to play, I was declined. Then Robin sighed like a grown-up. Seeing Robin like this, Adrian couldn't help pinching the other's little face. "Father, don't pinch, it will make your face bigger." Robin complained, but did not stop, and Adri naturally stopped. "Robin, you little guy, learn how to sigh like an adult. Is there anything that doesn't go your way?" Adrian cared. Robin shook his head, pouted and refused to say anything, and Adri didn't pay attention. Just ruffling Robin's hair by the way. Robin, isn't it hot with your hair hanging loose? Robin straightened his hair and replied. It's not hot, why did father suddenly ask this? Adri smiled, it's nothing. Robin was aroused by this curious desire, and asked. Why on earth? Tell me quickly. I've said it all. In fact, I just want to tie your hair. I'm worried that your long hair will interfere with you. For example, your vision will be blocked when you read a book. Robin looked at Adri with a strange look of father, you know how to tie your hair? Of course. Why haven't I heard of it? Is it real or fake? Hurry up and pierce one for me. Robin became interested, turned around and left, and when he ran back, he still held a rubber band and a comb in his hand and handed it to Adri. Father, please tie my hair. Adri took the things, turned Robin's back to him, and began to smooth his hair. Robin suddenly asked to father, why haven't you told me yet? Adri tied his hair and joked. I said I learned it specially for you? I don't believe it. Father is lying. Whatever you want, well, go find a mirror and see for yourself. So fast? Robin touched his hair in disbelief. Adri was indeed tied up, and he still had a bald head. Robin ran to look for the mirror excitedly. Looking at the back of Robin leaving, Adri had a smile in his mouth. He did lie just now. Adri would have met it a long time ago. Adri couldn't help but fall into the memory. A girl with long orange hair came into view. I really miss it, it's been so long. At this time, Robin also ran with light steps, rushed over, hit Adri directly, and threw himself into his arms. Father, you are amazing, this is really beautiful. Robin shook her bald head, looking very happy. It was pierced by her father herself. She talked about it everywhere along the way. She still hasn't forgotten Diana's flashing surprised expression just now, and a look of surprise. Uncle No staggered a bit. Adri wanted to hug Robin, but Robin refused. Father, I'm already 12 years old, and I'm a veritable lady. I can't be hugged by my father anymore. I'm not a little girl anymore. Seeing Robin speaking solemnly, Adri expressed respect, but unexpectedly Robin walked away a little unhappy. My father didn't even bargain, but he really didn't hug me. Miss Ben is going to get angry for a while. At this time, number 1 also came over, looking suspiciously at Robin, who walked over angrily. Obviously the eldest lady was very happy just now, so number 1 came without thinking too much, and handed a document to Adri. My lord, it's over there, I need you to go there. Adri opened the file and glanced at it briefly, and then his eyes caught a certain puffy face hiding around the corner of the boat. After Robin was discovered, he fled and returned to his room. At night, Robin couldn't help remembering that when he was looking for his father before, his father said something strange. A game of life and death? Just let them play. Robin still feels strange now, what an unforgettable sentence. End of this chapter. Chapter 44 Bounty Hunters Guild. Chapter 44 Bounty Hunters Guild in a special town. 3 masked figures walked by. The person in the front has a slender figure, golden hair, a black gold mask on his face, and the corners of his mouth are slightly raised. He held a crutch in his hand. What was creepy was that the handle was a crystal clear skull with rubies in his eyes, emitting a strange light in the dark town. The 2 people who followed were of different shapes, but they both wore full face masks, and numbers were outlined with black ink on the pale masks. One was 2 and the other was 3. Both of them were in suits and leather shoes, but respectfully followed behind the person with the cane in front. The surrounding citizens, no, it is too inappropriate to use citizens, because all of these people exude the smell of blood. Everyone here is not simple, but now there is awe and fear on the faces of these people. That mask. It's the second and third adults. The one who can be treated respectfully by the 2 adults can only be the adults of the hall. Looks so young, not at all. Are you crazy? How dare you talk about that lord? The partner of the person who spoke badly wanted to stop him, but the person disappeared. He came back to his senses again, and there was an extra figure in the hand of the person wearing the no. Mask. The person was already half dead, and the masked person did not kill him. Holding the man's body with his hands, let the man's blood drag and become a blood-red path. The people around immediately fell silent and didn't dare to say anything, while the partner knelt on the ground in fright, because he was the closest and knew what happened the most, but he didn't feel anything, and the person disappeared up. What a terrifying power this is. What he is most afraid of now is implicating himself, but fortunately, the two adults did not look directly at him. Just thinking about this, he suddenly appeared in front of No. Masked man, and the other's hand was on his fragile neck. Even before he had time to think about it, he was treated like a good partner. On the dark and damp ground, there were two bloodstains, which looked unexpectedly beautiful, extending all the way to the castle in the center of the town. The castle in the center is also the most prosperous area. People come and go inside. Some people are holding a bag of money, and some people are carrying a bloody human brain in their hands. There is a ring-shaped counter in the center of the hall, and there are several people standing there, performing services, and what is going on here is naturally a transaction. This is the headquarters of the bounty hunters. The bounty hunters who want to enter the headquarters can at least hunt tens of millions of pirates alone. On the surface, it is the lair of pirate hunters, rather it is the lair of killers. The reason why this organization can exist is that there are many bounty hunters who have a bounty on their own. If they want a bounty, they need an intermediary to help them collect it and collect some fees. The reason why it is also called a killer is because those really valuable orders are still missions issued by the bounty hunter headquarters. You may only need to kill a rich businessman to get tens of millions of berries. The assassination missions issued by the hunter headquarters are also issued by the employer on the other side. If the hunter wants to publish it, it is also possible, but it needs to go through the normal procedures. First estimate the price, pay a deposit, and sort and register. Naturally, these are also divided grade. The simpler ones are just running errands, but the price is naturally low. This kind of thing basically only appears in the branch. The branch does not have the luxury of the headquarters. In general, it is still dominated by pirate hunters, which looks more like a formal business. But high-level hunters will also be invited to the backstage to show them some big deals nearby, but there will not be as many such tasks as the headquarters. At this time, there were many people in the hall discussing the previous commotion outside. It was a big deal for a big shot to return to the hall. They still remember that the last time the Lord returned to the palace, there were many hunter groups who wanted to unite to replace the headquarters, and even planned to attack the headquarters. That bloody storm was also the first time they saw the reward. The first 3 defenders of the Golden Hunter headquarters were also killed and all came out. Because of the blow of the No. Character, they contacted a few pirates with hundreds of millions to share the temptation of profit, and the adult in the palace, who is the master of the top killers, appeared, in order to prevent such challenges in the future. Majestic things happen. That lord broke through and slaughtered the alliance with his own power, and hung the body of the leader on the city gate to show the public, and finally put the matter to rest. So far, few people who are not good-looking dare to do this, but of course there are also others. Don't worry, this time the Lord came out again. I don't know why, but the news spread like a plague. Everyone panicked for a while. Many old hunters thought of the demon-like figure back then, and their whole body cold sweat again and again. At this time, the adult who was being watched, Adri, was quietly enjoying the afternoon without sunshine, while No. and No. were waiting by the side. Adri sipped the coffee, read the newspaper by the way, and saw what his son was making a fuss about, which was better than making frequent phone calls. The Bounty Hunters Guild belongs to Adrian, and it is also a part hidden in the dark, but there are many good things. Number 2 handed over a few documents. My lord, these are all missions to destroy the young master's forces. In your opinion, do they need to be revoked? Adri glanced at it and replied. No, it's too obvious, and we can get a lot of benefits from the task. Just inform Dover, just make a deal in the name of the guild, provide some information, and let him prepare in advance. The agreement in this regard, it can be handed over to specialized personnel. Without special treatment, it can be regarded as an investment, and Dover has great potential. Indeed, the young master has reached out to the underground world. Really, this kid is a little impatient. Adri took a sip of coffee and responded. His eyes were full of appreciation. As expected of his eldest son, he had the guts. At this time, No. and No. On the side looked at Adri's expression and knew that their adults loved their eldest son. To be honest, their eldest son is very good. It is not as good as the master when he was young, but he is already very good. A guild like Adri's was not completed overnight. After several years of accumulation and consolidation, it was able to form its current scale and reputation. Adrian fumbled for the skull on his cane, overlooking half of the town from the highest point of the castle, and had a panoramic view of everything. With his condescending gaze, he seemed to be able to play with the town in the palm of his hand. He came here this time because of a small problem, but it is very important. Thinking of what will happen next, Adri's mood is very good. End of this chapter. Chapter 45 Robin and Amp, #039's Encounter. Chapter 45 Robin's Encounter. Robin was standing in the rain at the moment, and silently held an umbrella for her behind. The rain was heavy and cold, which also made Robin's heart a little colder. Looking at the few people lying on the ground in front of him, they kept begging for mercy. The rain wet their bodies, but they dared not move. Because, not only Robin and were around them, but also a group of guards from the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce surrounded them, not for anything else, just because they almost kidnapped and sold the eldest lady of the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce. Number 1 leaned over and asked, "Please tell me what to do with them." Robin didn't speak, just pursed his lips, still looking at the screaming person. "My lord, it's our fault, it's our confusion. Forgive us." Robin didn't respond, just said lightly, "Let's solve it as soon as possible." Yes. Then held the umbrella for Robin, and the guards around made way for him. "Did you hear what the eldest lady said?" "Clear." "Wait a minute. Please spare me. Help." "What?" Afterwards, things quickly returned to calm. Robin didn't turn her head back, trying not to let her tears stay behind. She grabbed the corner of Noah's clothes and said, "I will never trust anyone again." Number 1 comforted. "It's not Missy's fault, it's just that there are too many bad people in this world, so we need to pay attention." Robin nodded, and the memory of her previous escape resurfaced again, stimulating her brain. It turned out that after Adri left, accompanied Robin to play on nearby islands. Robin independently expressed that he wanted to walk by himself, and followed Adri's consent secretly to protect him. Robin's pretty face also attracted the attention of many caring people in the area. Robin was walking on the road. An old man fell down. Robin hesitated and stepped forward to help. The man looked very kind. So when the other party wanted to ask Robin to take him home, Robin didn't think too much and helped the old man carry the things. But as soon as he arrived at the old man's house, the face of the other party changed, and the door was locked immediately, and several big men jumped out, saying that this time the girl can be sold for a good price. At this moment, Robin realized that because of having a father, his vigilance dropped. Robin immediately activated his ability and rushed out of the door. Then he was rescued by who rushed over, and the previous incident happened. Robin expressed a little incomprehension. Obviously he was just kind, but he would do this. Why, is it so driven by profit, just like the people who hunted her before were all tempted by her bounty, and started to attack her child? Nian is even more curious, is it because of that period of history that led to the current state of the world? Robin felt he needed to ask Adrian about it. Looking at Robin, who was still in a daze, waited quietly, holding an umbrella with all his heart, without disturbing. Robin misses his father a little. He has been gone for several days. Robin also misses his brother. Brother Rosie is very gentle and often gives her small gifts. Brother Dover is very sensible and always gives Robin some gifts. Talk about some life lessons. It was also at this time that Robin seemed to understand what his eldest brother said: only family members are the most reliable, everyone else is just using each other. Although Robin thinks this sentence is a bit antisocial, but the first half of the sentence is what Robin wants to say. Sometimes other than family members may really be untrustworthy. Robin recalled the man with curly hair on a night of fire. He let himself go, but killed his friend. There are many things in this world that Robin can't explain clearly, but today she learned Don't trust anyone. Robin didn't want to lose his family, and he didn't want to live the days of running around, running away and betraying. Robin clenched her fists and set her target. She remembered hearing Adrian talk about a hero named Chow Chow. He once said, "Better tell me to betray the world, don't teach the world to betray me." This sentence gave Robin a great shock, but Adri also said businessmen are profit-seeking groups. There are no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. Adri would teach Robin some knowledge and increase his reserves in normal times, but Robin remembered it so clearly. Unexpectedly, rationally speaking, Robin would rather give the opponent a backstab before others hurt him. In a sense, I am the most important thing, and my family. Robin finally started to prepare to go back and end this wet journey. At least she thought a lot this time. She was indeed too comfortable. In the future, she would go to find the text of history. If she didn't have enough mind and strength, it is difficult to be independent. Robin has made a decision, and his eyes are naturally a bit ruthless. Outside, she still wants to maintain her status as a young lady, and she can't be ashamed. Thinking of Robin, she wiped off the excess moisture on her face. A few days later, Adri came back, and Robin greeted him warmly. His father must be exhausted after walking for so long. Robin specially made a cake and brewed a cup of coffee by himself. Seeing such a filial daughter, Adri is very relieved, and the food that Robin cooks is very delicious, especially the coffee, which is very mellow. "Robin, the coffee you make is delicious." "Really, it's great." "I think it's great too, and I'm afraid my father won't like it." Robin started drinking coffee too? "Well, I always watched my father drink coffee there before, but I tried it later. I was a little uncomfortable at first, but then I got better. It seems that a certain little guy ran to steal a drink by himself. It's just not there. People drink it openly." Adri looked at the awkward Robin, just touched Robin's little head, and said, "Drink if you like, but you are still young, so drink less on weekdays." "Oh, I know. In this case, do you want to try my treasured black tea?" "Really? That's great, and with Diane's sandwiches." "Okay, shall we go?" "Okay, let's go." Robin simply pulled Adri away and ran, and Adri followed closely behind. While sipping afternoon tea and sandwiches, Robin felt unprecedentedly satisfied. The slightly bitter black tea, but the aroma is constantly reminiscing between his teeth, and paired with ham sandwiches. The tea aroma and warmth make the sandwiches taste even better. Up a layer. "By the way, Robin, how about we go to Spring Island next?" Robin asked, a little puzzled. "But it's autumn, why do we go to Spring Island at this time?" "Some special time periods are the best time to savor beauty." "Robin believes me, you will like it." "Well, I hope to get there soon. It's rare to see the scenery of a place recommended by my father." End of this chapter. Chapter 46, The Boy with the Hat. Chapter 46, The Boy with the Hat, recommendation ticket plus update, Corazon, hurry up and follow. Rosindi stubbed out the cigarette butt and walked forward slowly. Rosindi has now officially become the cadre of the Don Quixote family, the second Red Heart, and his job code is Corazon. So far, Rosindi has driven away many little devils who want to become trainee members of the Don Quixote family. It is really speechless. These children only come because they think it is cool. After experiencing his torture, most of them they all ran away, really useless, without determination, so they came to the Don Quixote family in deep water. A few years passed quickly, and Adri occasionally brought Robin to play on the way. When Robin knew that Rosindi could not speak, he was very worried. As expected of his sister Rosindi, the pain was not in vain. For 2 years, a member of the Don Quixote family has quietly faded out of people's sight, but there are also many newcomers joining. Rosindi was even a little used to this kind of life, because he leaked the information, so that the crane could arrive in time, and because of this, Doflamingo began to have some doubts, but he did not come to a conclusion, which also made Rosindi compare nervous. "You have to be very careful when reporting to Sengoku." Relying on Rosindi's efforts, there were a total of dozens of children who were driven away by him before 00, and only 2 were left, still tenaciously in the Don Quixote family. One is Baby 5, with weapon fruit ability. The other is a 14-year-old tall boy, Buffalo, who is very resistant to beatings. He has survived the abuse of Rosindi and the experience of being beaten to death for mocking Pika's voice. His life is very hard, but recently, Yora found a hybrid Murloc baby named Delinger. Rosindi is not going to abuse a 1-year-old cub, but it seems that Doflamingo also acquiesced in Delinger's joining. Because of blood, he is stronger than ordinary people. Now, Rosindi is hanging around with Doflamingo, going to plunder and so on. At this moment, Doflamingo was in the temporary residence, looking at a thin boy in front of him. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. It's so similar, the child's eyes are too similar. Doflamingo can't help recalling that the boy's eyes are just like him when he was a child, desperate, helpless, cruel, and ferocious. The child was still wearing a bomb and tried to threaten the Don Quixote family, but the surrounding cadres just laughed it off, and even Baby 5 felt disdainful, covering his mouth and snickering. Doflamingo also crossed his legs, looking down at the boy. "Little devil, you still want to threaten us? If you want to join us, you can stay here first, and we can investigate slowly in the future." Doflamingo spoke casually, but Rosinante had already made a move, lifted the boy up and threw him out of the window, and landed on the garbage dump in the distance. Doflamingo was a little helpless. "You're still like this, you can't get used to the brat." Rosindi continued to sit back as if nothing happened. Buffalo muttered in a low voice, "Monsieur Corazon is still the same." Baby 5 nodded in agreement. "And the boy who fell into the trash at this time, his name is Luo. Trafalgar D. Law is his full name. The reason why he is so reckless is because his family members are all dead, and he has an incurable disease, lead platinum disease, and he has only a few years to live. Luo stayed in the Don Quixote family like this for a few days. Luo sat on the reef, looking at the sea, and there was a cuckoo sound from his stomach, just as Buffalo was already calling for people to eat. But when Luo saw the annoying figure again, Luo couldn't help gnashing his teeth. In the past few days, he would be abused by this bastard named Corazon every day. That lunatic. Luo's eyes became gloomy. At this time, behind him, a man in a suit appeared behind Luo and called Luo. The man in the suit is called Senior, and he is considered an important member of the Don Quixote family. He always exudes a gentlemanly atmosphere. "Hey, Luo, Dover has something to ask you." "I have something to ask him too." But before Luo sensed it, Luo Shidi suddenly appeared behind Luo and threw Luo Lian's hat out. "What are you bastard doing? Ah!" Luo Chang fell heavily from the 3rd floor. Even Saunir couldn't help complaining. "Your distaste for children isn't getting any better, Mr. Cora." Luo was covered in blood and struggled to get up from the ground, wishing to kill Luo Shindi with his eyes. The Don Quixote family has already served dinner, and Doflamingo was enjoying his steak and feast, and said, "Our next target is Lacajo. The guys in that city begged for mercy when they saw us, and they secretly hooked up with other organizations." Everyone sat on both sides of Doflamingo, enjoying the delicious food while listening to his young master's words. Even Delinger was sucking milk at the dining table. Doflamingo threw the fork in his hand, hitting Lachizio on the map in front of him, and said, "We must make these traitors pay the price." At this time, Luo pushed open the door and dragged himself in. Yora waved his hands dissatisfied and said, "We're having dinner, kick him out for me." "Leave him." Doflamingo said. This made Yora feel puzzled. "I sent him." Toribol joins in the fun. Hey, Luo, it's been a week, don't you want to leave at all? Corazon has been beating you badly since you came here. Whether it's a kid or an adult, those who can't make it all slip away. Diamante also added. The other members are also talking to each other one by one. But Luo watched coldly and replied, "It doesn't scare me. I've seen hell with my own eyes." Is that right? It's your freedom to slap your face to make yourself fat, but Corazon is my important brother. If someone dares to hurt him, I will definitely kill him. Doflamingo wiped his throat with a fork. Luo Lang snorted, and accidentally exposed the white spots on his body. This is the symptom of lead platinum disease. It is contagious to the outside world, but in fact it is not. This kid's skin is so white. Mahabas marveled that even Yora's mouth fell open in shock. Obviously they already knew. Buffalo was frightened and stuck to the wall at this time. "Ah! Infectious disease, it's disgusting, get out of here quickly. Just as Luo was about to explode, Doflamingo slammed his fist on the table. Don't take those rumors seriously. Hey, did anyone else survive in the white town of Provence? I don't know, I just want to escape for my life, so I don't care about that. Then how did you escape? I crossed the border hiding in dead bodies. Then what are you hating on? Doflamingo asked with a smile. Luo's eyes have become gloomy, and he said solemnly, I don't trust anyone anymore. Phew fur fur. Phew fur fur. Doflamingo laughed instantly. He couldn't stop wanting to laugh. If he hadn't met his father at the beginning, maybe he would have thought the same way. Soon, Doflamingo slowed down. Straight up he stared at Luo, making Luo's scalp numb. Boy, no, Luo. You have to know, you can trust your family. Doflamingo said, and looked at the surrounding members. Family? My family is gone. Is that so? Who can tell in the future? In the days that followed, Luo Chenggong stabbed Corazon while Corazon was not paying attention, and then Luo, who was caught and fled, became a member of the family inexplicably. Mused. After becoming a member of the family, Luo also gradually integrated into it under the guidance of other family members. But on a certain day, Luo was surprised to see that Doflamingo, who usually wore a sinister smile, and Corazon, who had always been silent, showed a difficult expression, and their faces were very gloomy. At this moment, Luo Kai discovered that Doflamingo and Corazon also had troubles and people they couldn't handle. End of this chapter. Chapter 47 Adri, I want to hold a grandson, Dover and Rosie who were urged to marry. Chapter 47 Adri, I want to hold a grandson, Dover and Rosie who were urged to marry. Today the Don Quixote family welcomes a guest. Luo only knows that the usually arrogant cadre is now acting like a cat, but Baby Five and Buffalo are a little happy, and keep saying that the Lord is coming. It's really great, but Luo didn't bother to ask who it was. He was not so naive. He just wondered whether the expressions of Doflamingo and Corazon he saw at the beginning were related to this or that adult. But looking at Baby Five, the other party likes children very much and likes to give them gifts every time. Luo also became curious. The other cadres of the Don Quixote family were also fully dressed, and they had already begun to order the people below to cook a big meal for each other. But when the other party came, Luo discovered that this person was different from what he thought, and the person who could be taken seriously by the entire Don Quixote family did not look vicious. The other party is an obvious gentleman with a young and serious face, but there are some gray hairs on the sideburns. It feels like the other party's age is a mystery. All the members of the Don Quixote family came out to welcome him, which was very important, but the other party directly passed Doflamingo, and simply came to the front of Baby Five, picked him up, kissed him on the face, and said with a smile, "Miss me, Baby Five?" "Miss you." Baby Five said he was very happy. Buffalo also joined in and won the opponent's touch kill and a pocket money. But other members of the Don Quixote family seemed to be used to it, and even Doflamingo didn't mind, just kept his face calm all the time, and he wasn't unhappy with such things that didn't give him face, just raised the corners of his mouth and shouted the other party's name, Adri. "There are new members now, take care of my face." "Your face? Why don't you take into account my old man's feelings?" The self-proclaimed old man named Adri had a very bad attitude towards Doflamingo, but the cadres behind Doflamingo, except Corazon, stayed behind obediently. Adri also noticed this new member, and said thoughtfully, "A child? Rosie really is." Adri stepped forward and wanted to get close to Luo, but the guarded Luo still avoided it. "Who is Rosie?" This is Luo's questioning. Adri put down the Baby Five in his hand, went straight to Corazon, stretched out his hand, and pinched the other's face hard. But to Luo's surprise, Mr. Corazon, who often bullied him, but then hid it for him after he stabbed him, didn't resist, but showed a look of pain instead. Seeing that Rosindi was in pain, Adri stopped pinching, and instead warned in a bad tone, "Be gentle with the child, Rosie." It looked like Mr. Corazon's name was Rossi. Luo made a mental note. Luo Shidi nodded, then shifted his gaze, and instead glanced at Luo who was beside him. Luo also discovered that this adult seemed to have a good relationship with Doflamingo and Mr. Corazon, which also aroused Luo's curiosity about the identity of this Mr. Adri. Doflamingo and his entourage took Adri to have dinner together, but it was also in this way that Luo found that this Mr. Adri was more noble than he thought. When a group of people entered the restaurant, Adri sat at the main seat very naturally, and Doflamingo and Corazon also naturally sat on both sides. Luo knew what this meant, and even the cadres of the Don Quixote family took it for granted without any objection. Adri, I specially asked a chef to cook this time. Doflamingo said with a smile, but Adrian obviously didn't appreciate it, and asked lightly, Dover, how old are you? The movement in Doflamingo's hands paused, and he sighed. 26 is old. Adri murmured. It's been more than 10 years. Yes. Adri shifted the subject in a blunt manner that seemed unintentional. Carp has a grandson in his arms. In an instant, the whole world was quiet, only baby 5 was still eating the food in his mouth with relish, and the 1-year-old Delinger kept sucking the milk. The cadres finally understood why their young master's complexion was not good. At this time, Doflamingo's face was covered with black lines, and Corazon's complexion was also not good. Luo also seems to know something, but he is not sure yet. Doflamingo didn't respond and just continued to eat, pretending not to understand, not to hear. Adri then got up and hugged Delinger and sat on the main seat together, and hugged Delinger with both hands and showed it in front of Doflamingo. Cute. How about one? At this moment, even Luo Shidi choked on drinking water and looked helplessly at his poor brother. Doflamingo still didn't speak, expressing that he didn't want to pay attention, and even turned his head away. Looking at her eldest son who was not allowed to eat oil and salt, she put Delinger on her body and began to breastfeed him. Dover, you don't want you to be single forever, do you? Doflamingo replied, aren't you always single? But I have both sons and daughters. Doflamingo was speechless for a while, and it seemed that Adri had come for real this time. It's different. Adri stroked Delinger's golden hair and returned. It's about the same. Watching the two people coming and going, Luo didn't know whether to eat or not, he was already hungry. Doflamingo was a little embarrassed, and helplessly shouted, Father. This time it became clear to Luo that this young face was Doflamingo's father, that is, Mr. Corazon's father. No wonder everyone respected him very much, but he didn't see a trace of his father in Doflamingo. The father and son were really unlike each other. If Doflamingo hadn't said it himself, he wouldn't have believed it. Dover, my dear eldest son, you have to understand me. I don't have a grandson until now, and Garp's grandson can make soy sauce. Doflamingo covered his face. Father, it's not like you don't know about my situation here. Besides, there's Robin. Robin has grown up too. If it's not convenient for you to raise, I can do it. Why don't you urge Rosindi? You are the eldest son. Is it wrong for me to want to hug my grandson? I don't have a woman I like yet, and I don't have time to fall in love. It's okay, I can wait, but I hope to see you bring a girl home next year for me to meet. Rosie is too. How grown up is she? She doesn't even have a girlfriend. A certain Rosindi, who was injured for no reason, wanted to say that there were not all those who liked him in the Navy. Why don't you go and make an appointment with he, so that I can relax a little bit? How about guaranteeing you a grandson next year? Anyway, as long as you are courageous, Father, Lieutenant General, he can also take maternity leave. You bastard, even your father dares to tease you. It seems that you are a bit in need of a beating. My current strength is changing with each passing day, so it's hard to guarantee. You may not even be able to beat number 2. Who knows? Finally, the serious conversation is over, and the cadres can enjoy the food normally, because everyone sitting here understands that the young master's father is not an ordinary person, and they still have some understanding of this identity. After all, Dover treats them as his family. It's not me who said, Doflamingo and Rosindi are both turning, and I'm worried about not having a wife. End of this chapter. Chapter 48. Corazon takes Luo away. Chapter 48. Corazon takes Luo away. Delinger sat obediently in Adri's arms sucking a pacifier, and Adri occasionally teased him, and from time to time looked at Doflamingo and Rosindi beside him, their hairs standing on end. Adri, if you really like Delinger or Baby 5, you can just take them away, so that you will have grandsons and granddaughters. Doflamingo laughed. Forget it, otherwise Yora might be a little bit reluctant. Besides, these bastards belong to you. Oh, that's true. What do you think of Luo's child? Pretty good, I can probably guess why you are willing to accept him, but the other party's lifespan. It's not a problem, I'll figure it out. Adri stayed with Doflamingo for 2 days before leaving, which also relieved Doflamingo and Rosindi. People are terrified. Before he left, Adri went to find the big boys. Adri gave each of the 3 a piece of pocket money, and finally had a private chat with Luo. In the past few days, Luo has also discovered that Mr. Adri's father is really good. At least, Adri treats him very well. Although he was a little resistant at first, he got used to it later. This even made Luo feel the love of his father. Adri has always cared about him, and he is really different from Doflamingo. Luo said goodbye to Mr. Adri, and went to see Adri away reluctantly. To be honest, Luo had been hesitating whether to tell Adri that Corazon was really dumb. If Adri knew that his dear the second son did not say what it would be like to be speechless, but Luo still gave up. 1 year later, Luo's condition worsened. Corazon secretly took him away from the Don Quixote family to seek medical treatment for a year without success, and finally brought him to his home. Mr. Corazon, is this really your home? Luo looked at the castle on the small island in front of him with surprise written in his eyes. Why would he want to be a pirate with so much property, idle with nothing to do or idle with nothing to do? Yes, this is my home, my father should be there, I told him. During this period of time, Luo Shindi and Luo slept in the wild, and Luo Shindi and Luo became familiar with each other. Luo also knew the reason why Corazon always bullied him, but this still couldn't hide Luo's surprise now. So dual friend brother Ming and Mr. Corazon are rich second generations? Are you still trying to experience life? Mr. Adri here? Ah. Luo could only bite the bullet and followed Corazon into the mansion. Corazon came to the lobby with ease, and many people were saying hello to Rosindi along the way, and Luo just said hello. The other party's clothes were on the corner, and his head was kept lowered. Soon the two came to Adri's office. Rosindi knocked on the door, and then opened the door and entered. I am back. Adri, who is resting, looks at the people who come back. Welcome to. Are you back? Oh, and Luo, long time no see. Luo, who was named, replied nervously. Mr. Adri, long time no see, I didn't expect you to remember me. For a little guy like him, it's an honor to be remembered after only spending a few days with Adri. Of course I remember you, you are a good boy, Rosindi. It is Corazon who often mentions you. Mr. Corazon. Luo looked at Corazon, but Corazon just coughed and changed the subject. Father. Yo, you are willing to talk, have you pretended to be willing for so long? Luo was a little surprised that it seemed that Mr. Adri had known that Mr. Corazon could talk. Luo Kelason looked at his father a little speechlessly, and continued, I'm here to ask if the family doctor can treat Luo's illness. Adri looked at Xia Luo's body with more and more white spots, and waved his hand in no. What? Dr. Reed is Corazon's last hope, and he still trusts the elites in his family. He has been to so many hospitals, but to no avail. Rossi, Luo's illness is not hopeless, there are at least 2 ways. What's the way? Luo is also very curious, he is more aware of his illness. Adri said slowly. There are many doctors on Drum Island on the Great Route, you should have heard of it. Corazon recalled for a moment and nodded in confirmation. Is there a doctor there who can cure Luo's disease? It can be said that there is a doctor with a weird personality called Witch, Dr. Kareha. It is said that she is 128 years old now, but her body is extremely strong. She once said that it takes only 2 days for a patient to disappear in front of her. Cases. 1. Disappearance of disease. 2. Death. As he said that, Adri took out a document from the table and handed it to Corazon, and Corazon handed it to Luo to watch together. After reading it carefully, Luo also had a preliminary understanding of this person. Adri added. As long as we can provide her with wine or prunes that satisfy her, she should agree. But both Corazon and Luo also knew that although it was much better, there was still a 50% chance. Luo couldn't wait to ask, what about the second method? Devil fruit. Adri's words are extreme, but they also hit the point very well. There are many devil fruits that can cure Luo's disease, but it is still very difficult to get them. If there is a suitable one, Luo's disease may be cured or even cured, but he will be afraid of seawater. Fear of seawater is nothing compared to my illness. Indeed, it's a matter of time now. If you use the first method, the time to go to the Great Route will be a bit rushed, and accidents are prone to happen on the way. The second method, I am currently trying to find clues. Listening to Adri's thoughts, Luo and Corazon realized that Adri had already prepared. Corazon interrupted Adri. I'll choose the second option. I agree if you have news. Do you need manpower? No need. Corazon refused very simply. Since you say so, I won't interfere too much. Corazon understands that when he learned that the world government intends to acquire a devil fruit worth 50 billion, that's why Corazon refused. It would be much easier with Adri's help, but once discovered, Adri the business in Delhi will be very influential, and even offend the world government and navy. Rosindi didn't want this, he didn't think it was necessary, and he had to think about Adri. Father, let's take our leave. So fast? Luo wondered, and then fell silent again. Indeed, he didn't have time. The two said goodbye to Adri, and then left quickly, leaving Adri sitting alone in his seat enjoying refreshments. Almost breaking 200 favorites, come on, hello! End of this chapter. Chapter 49 Doflamingo and Amp, #039, S Choice. Chapter 49 Doflamingo's Choice, Recommendation Ticket. In the dark sky, a bundle of silk threads bloomed in the air like fireworks, wrapping the island full of snowflakes like a birdcage at an extremely fast speed. The snowflakes passed through the silk thread and were instantly split into two halves. It's over, we can't escape. Luo, it's okay if it's just you. I have nothing to do. Corazon watched Luo, who swallowed the devil fruit, and then looked at the birdcage in the sky, sighing silently. Of course, he would not tell Luo these words directly, and he could not let him know. Corazon helped Luo's face, and Luo had passed out due to his physical condition. A smile appeared on Corazon's face, and he looked at Luo silently. Even if I'm gone, you must remember me. I died with a smile on my face. Corazon hugged Luo and opened his mouth. If you remember me someday, remember my smile. On the other side, Doflamingo, who was cleaning up, looked at the gun in his hand, lost in thought, unaware of the snowflakes falling on him. Doflamingo took another deep look, and then held it tightly. This gun is the one Adri handed him back then, the gun that killed the bastard with his own hands, and the bastard was still apologizing to him at the last moment. Sorry for making you my son. But this is not what Doflamingo wants. His father has completely lost hope for future life and given up the courage to live. Doflamingo cleaned the gun again, putting it aside. He only hoped that it would not be used today. Otherwise Adrian will be angry. At this time Pika came. I seem to have found Corazon. Corazon was getting rid of the pursuit of the Don Quixote family behind him, and was occasionally hit by guns, but Corazon had to escape even though he had thrown himself into the trap, but the people behind were chasing him closely. Corazon gasped for breath quickly, hoping to recover some physical strength, but it was in vain, because he already had injuries on his body. This way, not only old injuries were affected, but new injuries were also increasing. Corazon's deep purple feather coat is particularly obvious in the snow. First, he was hit by Raoji's physical skills, and then Toribol stabbed him hard with a knife in the back. Ability to decide. In the end, Corazon, who was suffering so much, lay weakly on the ground, admiring the snow scene, and laughed, "Haha, it hurts." Then Corazon looked at the other members who had surrounded him, and they all silently watched Corazon lying on the snow. Gladius kicked Corazon hard, forcing Corazon to spit out another mouthful of blood, and fell heavily beside a nearby box. Despair. 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 The sound of people walking on the snow was getting closer. But the one in the box was Luo, who was hidden by Corazon. Luo couldn't open the box, and there was only a wooden board between him and Corazon. The pink feather coat was swaying wantonly, and the burgundy suit on Doflamingo had a special charm. Everyone gave way one after another, and the snow continued to fall. Corazon was panting heavily. Although he was seriously injured, he still took a cigarette and smoked it slowly, staring directly at his own brother in front of him. His body was covered in blood, and the wound made it very difficult for him to smoke. Long time no see, Corazon. Doflamingo looked at Corazon with an uneasy expression. After all, he lived with his brother for a long time. Corazon was reflected in Doflamingo's blood-red glasses, but his brow was still furrowed. Corazon didn't speak, just put his hand into the feather coat. People around wanted to stop it, but Doflamingo stopped it. Doflamingo also continued to look at the person in front of him without saying a word. Corazon closed his eyes. He was still thinking, Uncle Warring States treats him really well on weekdays, and he misses him a little too. Uncle Garpus Senbei hasn't finished yet. What is he doing for it? Corazon recalled that, although he didn't see it with his own eyes, he knew that Doflamingo killed their biological father. Corazon was still thinking, then relieved. He was such a bad boy, and Adrian must be very angry. Just for that justice. Although he didn't see him on weekdays, since he entered the Navy, he felt a sense of mission, saving lives with his own hands, which made him a little immersed. Even, he began to question his father a little bit. It's not that he hasn't heard of some dark things about Adri, but it's his father, and his own brother is in front of him. Corazon couldn't figure out why. Obviously it was fine. Why did Flamingo want to become a pirate, just to re-enter the holy land of the dragon people that day, or to prove yourself? Corazon said he couldn't understand. He didn't understand. Why did Adri develop to the dark side? He was not short of money, but just for profit or interest. Corazon still didn't understand and couldn't understand, but under Adri's teachings, he was used to obeying himself, even if he was against others. He just couldn't figure it out. Adri once said that there is only a position in everything, and there is no absolute pros and cons. Corazon just followed his own heart and did it. Thinking of this, Corazon's eyes became clearer and clearer. Smiled and sighed. Then he took out a gun, loaded it, and pointed it straight at Doflamingo. With trembling hands, he resolutely said, Narin Code 01746, Naval Headquarters, Lieutenant Rosinante. Captain of the Don Quixote family, Doflamingo, I sneaked in to prevent the tragedy you caused. I am the Navy. Doflamingo listened quietly to Corazon's speech. The veins on his forehead were exposed, and he exuded a bad breath. At this moment, it seems that everything has stopped, quiet, and the snowflakes seem to be still for this. The muted world is like a position, which silences people's hearts to the lowest level, crushing them hard. Doflamingo felt a little depressed, and shouted. Stop making silly jokes, you answer my 3 questions. Where are the fruits of surgery? Where is Luo now? The corners of Doflamingo's mouth were bent down, constantly indicating that he was in a very bad mood. But Corazon just laughed and said of the devil fruit, the operation fruit has been eaten by Luo, and it came out of the bird cage smoothly, and it is now on the Navy warship, being protected by them. Doflamingo's anger could no longer be concealed, his teeth were shaking slightly. Last question, Adri. Do you know? Silence. Corazon didn't speak. He couldn't answer this question. At this time, Baby 5 and Buffalo also reported that the Navy had protected a little boy, which just happened to confirm Corazon's words. Doflamingo sent all the cadres around him to release the bird cage. Doflamingo took out his pistol and pointed it at Rosinante, asking, Why stop me? Why do I have to need to kill my real family twice? You can't shoot me. Doflamingo said understandingly. You also saved me once. You were so similar to that bastard. Did Adrian teach you for nothing? Doflamingo's voice grew angrier. Shouldn't you even reveal about Adri's affairs? You know, Adri's attitude towards traitors. Adrian's first secretary was a spy for the Navy. No matter how much Adri uses money to please, people and animals shown on the surface are harmless. There will always be no reassurance. Although the secretary sacrificed his life to save others and rescued Adri, when Adri found out that the other party was a spy, he resolutely buried the other party. But the other party's death was not easy. Doflamingo was fortunate enough to observe that man. He couldn't even be called a human being, a bloody mass of flesh, but he was still able to breathe and be conscious. It's terrifying. Corazon, I am very disappointed in you. You actually betrayed us. Corazon's eyes widened in an instant, and he really wanted to say that he hadn't betrayed, but in order to cover Luo, he could only stand up with difficulty. Corazon is now just talking to Doflamingo. I don't want to say more, but I didn't betray my father. and Luo has overcome his fate, he is free now. Doflamingo silently waited for the person in front of him to finish speaking, and then squeezed the trigger expressionlessly. Boom! End of this chapter. Chapter 50 Resurrection from the Dead. Chapter 50 Resurrection from the Dead, 200 collections. As the gunshot rang out, Corazon fell to the ground. Doflamingo grabbed Corazon, who had already started to lie on the ground, and he was still smiling. Doflamingo turned to leave, but was stopped. This voice should not appear here, it is impossible to appear here. Hey, Dover, did you have fun shooting your brother? Doflamingo shuddered and turned his head mechanically. Adri. Adri was looking at Rocindi's body at this time, and his tone of voice seemed extremely indifferent, but it was precisely because Adri was not angry that Doflamingo became more flustered and nervous. Opened the mouth and said, "Father." Adri nodded slightly, and didn't pay much attention to it, but knelt down to check on Rocindi's injury. Doflamingo couldn't help but said, "He's dead as hell." "What's the matter, father? Aren't you mad? I shot your favorite little boy." Doflamingo's face turned cocky, trying to piss off Adrian. But Adrian was very calm. "That's your own brother too, Dover, don't you wonder why I am here?" Doflamingo didn't answer directly, but just narrated frantically there as if to quibble. "It was Rocindi who betrayed us first, me and you." Adri turned his head, staring at him with black eyes, but what surprised Doflamingo the most was that Adri had a smile on his mouth at this time. This is not a person who loves children, but the children die, the expression that should be shown at the time. Doflamingo suspected that Adri was stimulated. No matter how indifferent Adri was in the past, he shouldn't laugh now, but Doflamingo still calmed down and continued to mock. "Father, you pushed me to kill my own father with your own hands back then, so what's wrong with me killing my younger brother today?" Doflamingo is more like confiding. "Dover, you know, my original intention was not like this, it was just to let you understand that the choice is in your own hands." Adri spoke calmly, then got up and walked towards Doflamingo. "What are you doing?" Doflamingo stood where he was, looking at Adri, who was walking towards him, and asked, "Is it to avenge Rocindi, kill him as a bastard, teach him a lesson, or sever the relationship?" Doflamingo guessed, but he still stood still, watching Adri quietly walking towards him. Doflamingo already knew that there would be such a scene when he pulled the trigger. Doflamingo then closed his eyes. He didn't think Adri would be like his biological father. Adri was not a good person, indecisive. Doflamingo now planned to bear Adri's anger silently. Doflamingo didn't feel the pain he imagined, and was greeted with a warm hug from Adrian. Why? Doflamingo was puzzled, but he killed Rocindi with his own hands. Adri just hugged tighter, hugging Doflamingo's head in his arms. Doflamingo's hand had nowhere to put it, so it could only stop stiffly in mid-air. Doflamingo felt the warmth from Adrian. How long had this embrace been? He remembered that it had been a long time since the last hug. Obviously, the number of times Rocindi hugged his father is completely beyond count, and he himself was few and far between. Not for anything else, because at the beginning, Adri wanted to hug but was rejected by Doflamingo. After that, they didn't hug much. But Doflamingo clearly remembers the first hug. At that time, not long after Doflamingo arrived at Adri's place, he had a nightmare at night. It was the day his mother died, and he also had a dream of being beaten and scolded by the villagers, and constantly robbing his brother for food. But later, he felt when it was warm, the nightmare gradually subsided, and when he woke up, he found that Adri was holding him. Doflamingo pushed away and realized that he was crying. Adri just realized that he was having a nightmare, frowning tightly, with tears in the corners of his eyes, so he embraced him in his arms. Adri was not angry when he was pushed away by Doflamingo, but said gently, "Did you have a nightmare? It's all over now." At that time, Doflamingo couldn't control his tears anymore, and rushed into Adri's arms, and Adri just hugged him silently, comforting him. The hug at that time was warm and reassuring. The current hug has not changed, it is still so reassuring. Doflamingo choked up and asked, Why, I obviously did that." Doflamingo tried to control his tears. As a man who is almost 30 years old, crying in his father's arms is too embarrassing. But what he got in exchange was Adri's answer. Dover, you are my son, that's all. But, I killed Rock Indy. Do you remember what I told you? Let go and do your own thing, don't worry about me, everything will end with me. After Rocindy's phone call, Adri called Doflamingo and said the same thing. Despite these words, they had heard Adri say it since childhood. Adrian let go of his arms and asked, "Feeling better, boy?" Doflamingo pretended to be innocent, and smiled heartlessly there. "I'm fine, Adri, don't talk nonsense." Adri looked at Doflamingo, who was reluctant again, and smiled. Killing his younger brother with his own hands is not a good feeling, and Dover must feel very uncomfortable in his heart. Not only uncomfortable, but also sad, killing his younger brother with his own hands. "Okay, Dover, you guys have played the game of life and death, then forget it." Adri's words immediately caught Doflamingo's attention. "What do you mean? I don't quite understand." Adri didn't explain too much, just looked at Doflamingo, who was a little excited, and said, "Remember the pendant I gave you?" Doflamingo nodded, and looked down at the bloody pendant on his body. At this time, Doflamingo also suddenly noticed the pendant worn on Rocindy's body was emitting a bloody light at this moment. "Hey, what's the matter?" Before Doflamingo could speak, the light instantly enveloped Rocindy. And at this time, a magic circle appeared under Adri's feet and quickly surrounded Adri. Doflamingo was so surprised by the scene in front of him that he couldn't speak. He could only watch Adrian and waved his hands to show that he was okay. Adrian in the blood-colored formation seemed to be supported by an air current. His hair instantly returned to its original black color, and the hair was directly lifted by the air current, and Adri's whole body was also suspended in the air. In an instant, a big hole suddenly appeared in Adri's heart, piercing through his body. "Hey! What's going on?" Doflamingo wanted to step forward nervously, but he didn't even have a heart. But before Doflamingo came forward, the big hole in Adri's chest began to heal rapidly. First, the living heart was reshaped and beat there, and then the blood vessels, skeleton, muscles, skin, and even clothes were all damaged. As good as ever. Doflamingo was obviously shocked by this. This is not an illusion, he really couldn't feel Adri's heartbeat just now. After recovering, Adri returned to the ground, and the formation disappeared, and Adri stood in front of Doflamingo again. At the same time, the light on Rocinante also dissipated. Adri stopped Doflamingo's strong curiosity in motion to see Rocinante first. When he came to Rocindy's side, Adri shook him gently, and Rocinante gradually regained his breath, and the wounds on his body disappeared, leaving only the blood on his body. This time, it scared Doflamingo. Resurrected, this is what Doflamingo thinks in his heart. He thought he knew enough about Adri, but he didn't expect it. Doflamingo looked deeply at Adri, who was smiling aside. At this time, Luoshidi also seemed to wake up, opened his eyes slightly, and said in a hoarse voice, "Where am I? Is this a soul?" Rocinante got up slowly, but was woken up by Adri's trembling. "Father! Why are you here?" Rocinante looked at his chest in disbelief. "I'm not dead?" Rocinante looked at Doflamingo again and stood up immediately in fright. "Why are you still here?" Doflamingo looked at Rocinante with a veiny face, and the two brothers almost started fighting each other. Adri separated the two brothers and looked at each other, and said, "Now, let me explain briefly, you have to fight or kill, anyway, you two can't die." After saying this shocking sentence, Rocinante and Doflamingo both opened their mouths in surprise, but finally reminded. "Don't think there is no price to pay for this. As long as the pendant binds you, you can't die anyway, but I have to pay the price, understand?" After saying this, Rocinante and Doflamingo looked slightly better. "And what if you die?" "Ha, Dover, are you cursing your father? It's really outrageous. You don't need to know, and it's useless to know." Doflamingo snorted and said nothing. "Okay, now you all do your own thing. Don't let me think that you have nothing to gain. It's not fun. Go kill each other a few more times by yourself." Adri seemed a little impatient, but he obviously didn't do anything to Dover and Rossi. "Well, Rossi will go to my place to heal his wounds first, and you, just keep going and go after your chaser, okay?" Adri intends to temporarily separate the two. Neither Doflamingo nor Rocinante had any objections. "I know that Corazon is dead, and the only one I'll see next time will be Rocinante. Doflamingo then left without looking back. For a time, only Adri and Rosindi were left. Father, is the price you said before okay? Rosindi asked concerned. It's okay, both of you make me worry, so I have to go on a trip. Adri said flatly, but Rosindi didn't pursue it. Adri looked at the figure of Doflamingo going away and sighed. Rosie, you are always so gentle and kind. Rosindi seems to have heard it, lying in the snow, looking up at Adri as a smiling face of father, I love you. Warring States Theater. When Jean-Gua heard the news of Corazon's death, he had mixed feelings in his heart. Looking at the phone bug that could no longer be connected, the grief in his heart reached its peak, and his millet fruit died. What he is more sorry for now is Adri, presumably Adri knows it too. Just in time, Adri called. Warring States hesitated for a moment, then picked up the phone bug with difficulty. Moses. There was no sound on the other side. Adri, I'm sorry. This matter is my fault. I'll find a way to make it up. Are we free to meet? You have something to say. Rosindi is alive. What? Isn't the Navy's report already dead? Fake death, so that the child will no longer be controlled by your Navy in the future. Okay then, is the kid okay? It's injured, it's a bit heavy, and it takes a while to recuperate. I can guarantee his life here. Really, that's good. I want you to keep it a secret, with the Navy. Why? Because Rosindi will be my successor in the future, you know what I mean. Okay, I see. I owe you this time anyway. Oh, by the way, Rosindi asked me to tell you, thank you for taking care of me during this time. That's it, thank you, that child, you have a heart. Jean-Gua hung up the phone, the corners of his mouth raised, and tears could not help but flow from his eyes. Murmuring. Great, still alive. Oh who? End of this chapter. Chapter 51 Becoming a Family Member. Chapter 51 Becoming a Family Member. Adri pulled up Rosindi, patted the opponent's shoulder, and said, boy, it's so cool, you dare to play like this behind my back. Rosindi immediately shrank his head, and returned embarrassedly. It's not because I'm afraid you won't agree. Would I disagree? You're kidding. Adri took out a cigarette, and Rosindi took advantage of the opportunity to go up to light a cigarette, but Adri glanced at him and immediately retracted. Anyway, Rossi, if you lose this time, you will be responsible for helping me manage the Chamber of Commerce. What? Adri stared at Rosindi fiercely. Why, do you still have an opinion? Are you thinking of returning to the Navy? I'm not done with the Navy. It was the Warring States that asked you to do this. Adri guessed the whole story right away. This matter has to make the other party improve his memory. It is only because of cerebral thrombosis that he came up with this method, and the person who implemented it is also a fool. Adri looked at Rosindi with disgust in his eyes. Father, what about my side? Fake death. I'll take care of it, you don't have to worry about it. In the future, you can help me manage the Chamber of Commerce with peace of mind. Really, I have such a big industry, why don't you two bastards think about not working hard? You can obviously win, you guys the two want to do their own thing. Adri made it sound like Rosindi was a prodigal son, but in fact both Rosindi and Doflamingo just had a tacit understanding that they didn't want to go this way. But this time, Rosindi still nodded. He was indeed a little tired. After so long, he didn't spend time with his father. Rosindi himself blamed himself a little. Father must be very disappointed. In fact, Adelina was playing around with Robin and didn't bother with the grown cub. Rosindi thought of something again and asked to father, then this pendant. Rosindi indicated that he wanted to ask about the resurrection from the dead, but for such a big event, Rosindi felt that Adri would not tell it casually. This kind of thing, which is equivalent to infinite resurrection, will make people jealous everywhere. Naturally, be very careful. Adri did not answer directly, but pointed to the box behind Rosindi, and said, what's the plan behind you? Oops, I forgot for a while. Luo Shindi quickly removed the heavy objects on the treasure chest and opened it. It was Luo inside. Luo now contains tears, the CRYR and Mr. Cora, you are lying. You clearly said you would be fine. Rosindi let Luo beat him, and could only comfort him a little immaturely. Aren't I fine? Liar. If it weren't for Mr. Adri, you would have died a long time ago. Luo looked at Luo Shidi with tears all over his face. Luo Shindi could only helplessly comfort the other party, which made Luo gradually recover. On the other hand, Adri looked at the two of them and joked. You've heard everything before, right? Adri's affirmative tone surprised people and made everyone realize that not only their family was present in the resurrection from the dead before, but there was an extra Luo. Before Luo replied, Luo Shidi said first. Father, Luo is a good boy, he won't say anything, I can assure you. Luo followed up and said. Yes, Mr. Ardley, I swear on my medical skills that I will never tell. I will keep it a secret. But Adri's complexion pretended to be deep, and he murmured. After all, it's not my own family, so I can't trust it. Adri's deliberate language stimulated Rosindi, and Rosindi said quickly, I can adopt him as an adopted son. Luo was also shocked by what Luo Shidi said. But I saw Adri's mouth slightly raised, showing a successful smile, and decided immediately it's decided like that, but it can't be an adopted son. If you want to adopt Luo as your son, my dear, then he will be my direct line. After hearing Adri's words, Luo Shindi knew that Adri had already made up his mind, so he could only helplessly look at Luo, ask for advice, and tried in an extremely serious tone. Luo, are you willing to be my son and our family? Luo was taken aback for a moment, he never expected such a development, but seeing Luo Shidi's serious expression, Luo nodded with a smile. Unexpectedly, he would have a family again for the rest of his life after the catastrophe. Seeing Luo nodding, it was Adriatic who showed the happiest expression. He tore off the black feather coat directly on his body, stepped forward to wrap Luo directly in his arms, and said in his mouth. That's great, eldest grandson, come with grandpa and take you for treatment. After saying that, he hugged Luo and walked away, not forgetting to turn around and call Rosinandi, who was stunned on the spot. Rosie, hurry up, what are you doing there, you want to freeze my grandson? Rosindi reacted a step slow, fell on the snow, got up quickly, and then walked forward in response to the stumbling, with a smile on his face. When Luo saw this scene, he couldn't help laughing. That's great. They quickly boarded a warship of the Adri Chamber of Commerce, and they didn't know how Adri crossed the defense line between the Navy and the world and drove the ship in. Adri carried Luo into the room, called the doctor, carried out preliminary stabilization, checked the frostbite on Luo's body, and couldn't help complaining about Luo Shindi. Rosindi, what are you doing with your feather coat? How did you freeze my grandson? Rosindi could only touch the back of his head in a silly way. Luo would like to say a few words for Rosindi. Mr. Ardley. But before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Adria. Luo, now you are my only grandchild, what should you call me? Grandpa. Grandpa. Luo's voice was very soft, but it still made Adri very satisfied. Then he started discussing with the weaker Luo. Luo, next, we will go straight to Magnetic Drum Island to seek medical treatment for you, but along the way, you have to try your ability first to prolong your lifespan. Can you work hard on this? No problem, Grandpa Adrian. Then it's settled. I'll have someone take you to take a hot bath first. Rossi, come out with me. Luo followed the attendants, and before leaving, Rock-Indy made faces at him to make him laugh. Don't worry, everything will be fine. Afterwards, Rosindi followed Adri to the outside. Father, what can I do for you? It's nothing, just to remind yourself, treat this little guy well, he has endured too much. Rosindi's face also became serious. Father, I will naturally treat him well, like my own son. My relationship with Luo is already very close, and my concern for Luo is also from the bottom of my heart. It's good if you can say that, then this will be handed over to you. Adri took out a box, which contained a sky blue pendant, exactly the same style as Adri and others. Luo Shindi opened the box and looked at Adri. He understood that his father really planned to make Luo his family. Grandchildren are all sky blue. Adri added, and then turned his gaze to the sea. Rosindi nodded, I understand. Oh, by the way, it's better to clarify some things with Luo. I see. Rosindi gradually disappeared into the darkness. In the darkness, Rosindi touched his chest. There was a gunshot wound there, a fatal gunshot wound, but in fact, it was a little bit off. The things about it are really unreal. He died once. But he lived again. Adri continued to look at the seaside, with a smile on the corner of his mouth. I finally have a grandson. And the other side. Doflamingo accidentally found something from long ago. It was a shell, and the words engraved on it were blurred. This was a birthday present that Rosindi gave him at the beginning, but he couldn't find it later. Unexpectedly, in this box, Doflamingo rubbed the words on the shell and fell into deep thought. Sure enough, he was a little sloppy at the beginning. Doflamingo recalled all kinds of past events, feeling tired. Doflamingo looked up at the gray sky and couldn't help laughing. Father, it's really you. Yo ho ho ho, all the best. End of this chapter. Chapter 52 to Drum Island. Chapter 52 to Drum Island. Okay, Luo, how are you doing? Mr. Korra, it's already very good. Luo Shindi was happy for Luo and added, by the way, a Corazon is dead, you should call me by my real name. That's right, I understand, Mr. Rosindi. Forget it, call it whatever you want. Luo Shindi is really happy for Luo, now his condition has improved, and Magnetic Drum Island is just around the corner. Rosindi didn't force Luo to call him father, he just thought that Luo just nodded foolishly, didn't think much at all, but still warned Luo to stay away from Doflamingo. After all, the benefits brought by the surgery are too great, but I don't know how much Doflamingo's pursuit of immortality is after knowing that he can be resurrected. Rosindi has not yet asked directly again, and he does not want to be disappointed again. But the pendant in the box that Adri gave him, Rosindi still brought it to Luo, but temporarily lied that it was a gift. They landed on the island before evening. Their landing on the island caused a big commotion, because the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce also had a certain connection with the island. The current king is quite wise, and he is very satisfied with the win-win strategy proposed by the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce, so he naturally treats them very kindly. But the reason for the sensation was not because there were no large ships before, but because it was aboard a merchant ship of the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce this time, and it was said that it was a big shot of the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce. The current king also sent his personal guards to meet him at the port. When the guards learned that they were looking for Dr. Kureha, they also showed embarrassment. It would be fine if it was another doctor, but this one has a weird temper. But fortunately, Adri said that as long as the two parties meet, it will be fine, and they will handle the rest by themselves. The chief guard expressed his understanding that this can still be done. Soon a woman on a sled arrived, wrinkled and white-haired, but looking very strong, not inferior to a young man's body, and wearing trendy clothes. The other party is Dr. Kureha. Adri stepped forward and politely saluted a gentleman. Hello, beautiful lady, you must be the famous Dr. Kureha. Dr. Kureha obviously liked these words very much, with a happy mood showing on the corner of his mouth. Hey, want to know the secret of my eternal youth? But just after finishing speaking, Dr. Kureha suddenly froze for a moment, then immediately laughed. It seems that you don't need it. Tell me, what can you do with me? Dr. Kureha glanced at Luo, who was next to Rosindi, and added. My bid is very expensive. You can rest assured about this. Adri clapped his hands, and two people holding wine bottles came. One of them respectfully opened the wine and handed it to Dr. Kureha. Dr. Kureha didn't even think about it, just poured it down and drank it, smirked, and praised. Pretty good plum wine, but that's not enough. Adrian smiled and said, Don't worry, of course it's more than that. If you like it, I can give you many bottles of this plum wine here, or even enough. Haha, kid, do you know how long I've lived? Is that enough? I won't die in another few decades. Of course I'm not talking nonsense. Adri clapped his hands again. Two people came with a big box. The big box fell heavily on the ground. The two people who carried it opened the box, revealing the gold jewels inside. The bright light instantly attracted many people. Gaze. Including Luo. Even at a young age, Luo understood the value of so many treasures, and what was even more shocking was how much Mr. Adri was willing to pay for it. But Rosindi was much calmer, and this was nothing in his house. At this moment, Dr. Kuleha was stunned again. Looking at the treasure in front of her, she was not greedy for money, but just charged the corresponding fees, because the medical skills were too high, so the high fees were charged. Dr. Kuleha took another sip of the plum wine in his hand, and replied, "That's about the same. You want to treat that kid, right? It looks like he has platinum lead disease. Don't worry, there are only 2 cases when the patient disappears from my eyes. 1, the disease is cured, 2, death. It's just that I will pay you back when the time comes." But Adri waved his hand, and motioned for the 2 to carry a big box, opened the box. Inside the bottom layer was Bailey, on it were some extinct medical books, and some extremely precious medicinal materials, the value of which was comparable to the previous treasure was much higher. Dr. Kuleha raised his eyebrows. "What do you mean?" "Apprentice ceremony. I hope you can teach the child a little bit, he has a medical foundation." Dr. Kuleha looked at some things in the box and couldn't help complaining, "What a waste of money. Medical books are a good collection, not to mention medicinal materials, there are a few that make her a little excited." Dr. Kuleha drank a few more gulps and threw the empty wine bottle on the ground. "By the way, how about adding this kind of wine for a year? Make a deal." Dr. Kuleha brought several people to her castle and began to treat Luo. 3 months the white spots on Luo's body have disappeared. During this period of time, he has benefited a lot. Under the guidance of Dr. Kuleha, his medical skills have improved rapidly, and Luo feels sublimated while studying medicine while treating diseases. In terms of medical skills, Dr. Kuleha did not ask Luo to be a teacher, but only limited how much he could learn during this period of time, which also prompted Luo to put in a lot of effort. Otherwise, in his heart, the money of Grandpa Adri, it's all in vain. Besides, these medical skills are really worth it for him. During this period, Luo Shindi was very worried about Luo's too hard reading and studying. In the evening, I will secretly give Luo Dang something to eat late at night, such as rice balls. Luo also always gnawed on rice balls while taking notes there. But he obviously felt that Rosindin was a bit strange. Recently, he always kept a certain distance from him, and he never mentioned the matter of adopting him before. This made Luo a little disappointed. Give him an excuse to get sick. Luo could only occasionally play with the pendant on his chest boredly. Tonight, Luo really couldn't bear it and asked Luo Shindi, "Mr. Rossi, did you adopt me just to get medical treatment?" Luo's voice was getting weaker and weaker, and he was still a little choked up. Rosindi, who wanted to turn around and leave, was stunned, and replied seriously, "Luo, that's not an excuse. It's what I really want to say. I'm just worried that you haven't thought about it. You should think about it carefully. Don't be too sloppy. Even if you don't want to, my father and I are very happy. Willing to heal you." Seeing Luo Sidi waving his hands, Luo was in a bad mood. In fact, at the beginning, Luo Shindi hit him, showed a funny smile and said, "Ro, I love you." Luo knew that he was willing to be a family member. Mr. Corazon was always so gentle, bearing the pain silently, but smiling at him. Luo told Rosindi his thoughts, and then imitated Rosindi's smile at the beginning, and said there, "Mr. Cora, I love you too." This time, Luo Shidi couldn't hold back the tears any longer, and hugged Luo. "You kid, it's true." Luo Shindi let go of her arms, looked at Luo, and said with a serious face, "Then please teach me more in the future, Luo. Please teach me more in the future, father." Aha! End of this chapter. Chapter 53 Change of Successor. Chapter 53 Change of Successor. A news that was supposed to occupy the headlines when it was revealed was suppressed. The president of the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce has changed. All chapters and local executive directors have received the news at the same time. The General Assembly will change, and will be succeeded by a child of the former president. It is not clear who it is, which makes people talk about it. Some people speculate that this is a conspiracy, a smoke bomb from the General Assembly. Some wonder why this happened without warning. Some people feel the strangeness of the sudden incident, and feel that there is a deep meaning in it. What makes people want to know the most is who will inherit the seat of the General Assembly. This made people panic. As far as they know, there will always be 3 children, 2 grown-up young masters, and a 28-year-old lady. It's not that these branches didn't want to stand in line, but the young masters and ladies didn't give them a chance to stand in line at all. The eldest young master rarely had news, and no one could be found. The second young master loves traveling and doesn't care about the Chamber of Commerce at all. The young lady is said to be a student, but she doesn't seem interested in doing business. It's not that no one hasn't visited them, but these people don't have the intention of snatching the position of president.So for a time. These branches thought that Adri would find an adopted son or something, but obviously they didn't know the truth of the matter. Although the common people don't know it, the high-level officials in many places still know it very well, for example, the world government and the Navy. And a certain Rosindi, who got on the throne of the Chamber of Commerce in a daze, looked at the cane in his hand speechlessly. It was the first time that Rosinindi heard Adri say that this cane was a symbol of the Chamber of Commerce's rights and a symbol of the association. If Rosindi remembers correctly, he played with this cane when he was a child. In the future, Rosindi will try to exercise his authority as low-key as Adri, but before that, he still has a little. The first thing to do is to go to those branches or the standing directors to get acquainted. Doflamingo has also heard the news, so it doesn't matter who it is. Adri's original idea was to let Rosinandi take care of him and fulfill his obligations by the way. And Doflamingo also needs to attend, but because of his apparent identity, he has to wear a mask. In fact, Robin also needs to wear a mask to attend. Although they didn't have any problems when they were young, after all, their appearance will change when they grow up, but now that they have grown up, they keep their identities in privacy secret. Even if they got in touch with a branch because of something, the branch must show their true face to others if they are willing. After seeing it, even a smart person would know to keep it secret, but there are very few branches that can contact people. Few. Therefore, all the branch leaders can know is the appearance of the general meeting and the double insurance of the executive director for item identification. At this time, Luo Shidi was wiping off the makeup on his face. Luo was stunned in surprise. It was the first time he had seen Luo Shidi take off his makeup, and it was obvious that Luo Shidi would look much better after removing the makeup. Then Rosindi took off his hat and put it on the cabinet, then pushed back the hair that was covering his eyes, put on his dark purple feather coat, pulled out the blood-red pendant from the inside of the suit, and tidied up the skirt, picked up the cane symbolizing power, and walked out with Luo, who was still in a daze. When they came to the living room, Robin was also fully dressed and dressed. It was the first time Luo met his nominal aunt. The other party has a tall figure, wearing a red and purple dress, black long straight hair, and short red feathers on his shoulders. Luo also dressed up today, wearing a beige suit and exposing the pendant. When Robin saw the shy and nervous Luo wearing the sky blue pendant, he smiled slightly and stepped forward to say hello, you must be Brother Rossi's son. My name is Robin, and it's the first time we meet. Luo stumbled and replied. Hello, Robin, Auntie, my name is Luo, please take care of me. What a cute kid, I'm just 4 years older than you, just call me Robin. Understood. Then Robin returned to the sofa and quietly read a book. Because there is no one now, and the nearby clubs will arrive at night, Robin just sits so casually. Luo Shindi also led Luo to sit by the sofa, and said, relax, the only people who will be present now are family members. Luo hesitated and asked, will Doflamingo come? Of course, but don't worry, he won't have an attack this time. It was not Rosindi who answered him but Adri. Seeing Adri coming, Rosindi and Robin looked over and shouted to father. Adri nodded. Luo also yelled to Grandpa Adrian. Adri nodded in satisfaction and walked towards Luo. Adrian was wearing a black suit and a black feather coat today, his hair had returned to black, and his gray hair was exposed at the temples. Adri sat next to Luo and explained. Now, you are a member of the family, and Dover can't do anything to you, and neither can you. Only when you grow up and become an adult like Dover and Rossi, I will do whatever you want. Come on, you guys can go and make trouble at will when the time comes, and I will take care of the mess. Luo nodded his head half understanding. At this moment, the door was pushed open, and Doflamingo appeared wearing a pink feather coat. Why, is my dear nephew worried what will happen to me? Doflamingo nodded to Adri, found a seat anywhere and sat down, looking at Luo. Ro, it looks like you're feeling much better. But Luo's eyes at this time were full of fear, wishing to kill the other party with his eyes, completely ignoring Doflamingo's accusation and turning his head away. Doflamingo got bored and started chatting with Rosindi. Rosie, how are you doing? Very good, don't worry about it, you'd better care about yourself first, I will shoot back for your shot next time. Don't worry, I will accompany you at any time. I hope that you will not die when the time comes. Brother, you are too noisy, disturbing my reading. Robin pouted and complained. Sorry, little Robin. We won't quarrel with you anymore. Doflamingo and Rosindi looked at Robin together and apologized. No way, Robin is the only girl in the family, and Adri prefers her, let alone the two brothers. They are a bunch of old men who almost made Robin a princess. Of course they cherish little Robin very much. Looking at Robin who shut them up all at once, Luo couldn't help being surprised. He didn't expect his aunt to be so domineering and able to frighten the two of them all at once. After a while, Adrian saw that it was almost done, and distributed the masks to Robin, Luo, and Doflamingo to wear. Then there was a loud noise from the door outside the hall. Let me recommend some tickets, smoking, this 99 makes me feel so uncomfortable, crazy hint. End of this chapter. Chapter 54 Banquet. Chapter 54 Banquet. Today's busy night is over, and Adri greets the rest of the branches to leave. This evening, the most tiring one was Rosindi. He kept shaking hands and communicating with people. They all lined up to shake hands. Everyone wanted to make a good impression. Many even recommended their daughters. At that moment, Rosindi pushed Luo, coughed and introduced. This is my son. Then the other party will say angrily, you are so lucky to have a son at such a young age. Among them, one person seemed particularly excited, and that was Sheldon, who had supported Rosindi. When the other party saw that it was Rosindi, he was so happy that he almost jumped up. He hurried forward and greeted loudly. Lord Luoshidi, long time no see. I really didn't expect you to become the president. Congratulations. Sheldon's voice was so loud that others might not hear him. Oh, Mr. Rosindi, I saw you as a good-looking talent at the beginning. After the last farewell, this time it will be the general meeting. Sheldon's loud voice attracted the attention of many people, and Sheldon was very happy and proud of it. After all, he is a rare person who has met the young master. Naturally, Sheldon classified himself as the second young master without authorization. Group. Phew, I didn't expect it, Rossi, you actually have someone. Of course, I met Lord Rosindi a long time ago. Oh, good morning, young master. Sheldon, who was still complacent, woke up immediately. Standing next to him was Doflamingo, because at this banquet, only members of the general family can wear masks. Naturally, this adult man can only be that elusive young master is gone. Doflamingo continued to smile and asked, How did you meet my dear brother? Rosindi answered first, before Sheldon could intervene. It's nothing, it's just that I was injured last time and asked someone to bring something. Rosindi said with a look of meaninglessness, and Sheldon was still echoing. Well, then you have to be more careful in the future. Doflamingo smiled. Most of the people here are human beings, and they can hear Doflamingo's malicious intentions. Suddenly, swords are on the verge of breaking out in the hall, and everyone's eyes are attracted. Adri just watched this scene with a smile, and didn't want to stop it. So they didn't talk too much, after all, the parents didn't care about it, and let those two acquiesce to the plot, but there are also many people who are speculating on the deep meaning of it. Many people think that Adri is optimistic about Doflamingo, so he turned a blind eye to his provocation to Rosindi. Some people think that this is a test, a time to test the second young master. But even so, there are quite a few people who want to learn something from it, such as the origin of this successor, with the mentality of watching the excitement. Everyone is ready to see the kindness and resentment between the first young master and the second young master. After all, there are many stories that can be heard from Doflamingo's tone. But when everyone had different ideas, Doflamingo just shrugged his shoulders and didn't go any further. Everyone thought that Doflamingo was too lazy to delve into it, but in fact, Doflamingo just remembered that Adri said that family ugliness should not be exposed, so he didn't continue. Just because he wanted to make trouble for Rosindi didn't mean they were going to be watched by these pigs. Doflamingo then took an aggressive step, took a glass of champagne from the attendant next to him, and then gave Rocinante a provocative look. Many branch presidents felt that they had seized the opportunity and hurried forward to strike up a conversation. In their view, there was something to be done. According to the general understanding, it should be that the tasks issued by the former president of the old master were not as satisfactory as the second young master, so he missed the throne of the General Assembly. Many people who lost the opportunity to communicate with Rosindi all set their sights on Doflamingo brother. Doflamingo naturally understands the intentions of this group of people. This does not prevent Doflamingo from playing, but it will add trouble to Adri. Adri doesn't want it to be torn apart by then, so Doflamingo mainly pays attention to those with strong ambitions. Let Adri pay attention to it when the time comes. Anyway, Adri doesn't mind what he does at present. Instead, he smiled there, looking at Doflamingo with horror. Sure enough, Doflamingo came in fear. Young master, are you married? Young master, there is a daughter in my family who is 18 years old. Eldest young master, my daughters are all as beautiful as flowers, let's get to know them. Master, my family. Master, my daughter. Many people also took out photos of their own daughters and put them on Doflamingo's face. Some even wanted to betroth their newborn daughters to Doflamingo. Doflamingo got a bit of a headache after doing it for a while. He finally understood. No wonder Adri was still laughing there. It turned out that it was calculated. With so many people, it was difficult for Doflamingo to get away, and he was annoyed all of a sudden. Luo Shindi would be grateful to hold Luo now, but fortunately he had a son. As far as that battle was concerned, Luo Shindi suspected that if it was him, he would definitely not be able to stand it. In the end, it was Doflamingo who gave Adri a look, and Adri stepped forward to make a clearance, and the crowd dispersed. But without Doflamingo, many people looked at Robin, who was quietly reading in the corner. Even though he was wearing a mask, anyone with a discerning eye could tell that he was a beauty. Many people wanted to step forward, but hesitated, but were cut off by a young branch of the other party. Looked only 25 years old, young, and promising. The other party did not know where to get a lot of roses in his mouth and stepped forward, and was ruthlessly interrupted at the first sentence of the conversation. Hello, beautiful little. Robin slowly raised his head, made a silent movement, and pointed somewhere with his finger. The man looked in the direction and saw that there, Adri was looking at him with a smile, but his surroundings were filled with black smoke, his face was gloomy, and his smile was even more chilling. The man trembled suddenly. I saw Adri staring at the other party with gloomy eyes, as if he would step forward in the next moment. The man even felt his neck get cold, as if he saw Adri gesticulating his neck with his hand. In an instant, the man was sweating profusely, and he suddenly found two cold lights shining directly into his heart. He saw Doflamingo and Rosinante also turned their heads to look at him at this time. Both of them were saying, "Stinky. Boy, you are so powerful, you dare to disturb our sister, and even approach to strike up a conversation, court death you." The man's legs receded very honestly, and he didn't realize that Doflamingo and Rosindi looked away until he retreated to a safe distance. Adri's face immediately improved, and he stepped forward to pat him on the back. Young man, very young. The man answered intermittently. Yes, thank you. Thank you for the compliment. Then Adri walked away. And Robin, after pointing the direction, lowered his head to read the book, completely ignored the other party, and was immersed in his own world. Then, the only thing they can find is Luo, the little young master. After all, who would be short of cute girls? Even if they die now, there is still time. Afterwards, the flow of people surrounded Luo and Rosindi completely. Who made him the only son of Rosindi, which also means that the next president is likely to be him. Thinking of this, people from various branches looked at Luo like hungry wolves. Luo couldn't help shivering. Fast breaking 300 favorites. End of this chapter. Chapter 55 Adri and Ab, #039, S Journey to the East China Sea. Chapter 55 Adri's Journey to the East China Sea. After the banquet, Doflamingo left. He has a lot of things to do, and he has been chased by the Navy recently, which is a bit miserable. If he hadn't given up looking for the boy taken in by the Navy, he might not even be able to come to this banquet, let alone know. He was set up by his good brother and took Luo directly as his son, so Doflamingo couldn't do anything. But Dove didn't mind. Anyway, he saw a better choice from Adri. Adri was fine at home, and planned to go to the East China Sea, but he didn't tell the reason, which made Rosindi think that he was going out for business. But when the ship sailed far away, Luo Kai wondered. Hasn't Grandpa already resigned? Why do you still want to go? Rosindi reacted immediately and regretted. I'll go. Father sneaked off to play. At this time, Petra, who had successfully transferred to be Rosindi's secretary, quietly put her hand on Rosindi's body, and said eerily. Okay, the current General Assembly, please go and process the documents, but there are a lot of them waiting for you. Rosindi asked tremblingly. Am I in a hurry to run now? It's too late. Afterwards, Petra grabbed Rosindi's feather coat and left, cursing. Don't be like your father, that bastard. I'm almost overwhelmed by running around every day. Luo could only helplessly follow along, to help deal with things together. Maybe he would do the same in the future. And Adri, who was far away on the ship, had already begun to enjoy himself. This trip to the East China Sea was a vacation, and also to meet someone, his old friend. On the calm waters of the East China Sea, a small ship was sailing, and Adri was on this ship. There were only him, and some sailors on board. Although there are short-sighted people in the middle, especially pirates who want to rob. A boy with a red nose is one of them. Little ones, give it to me. Run away. The pirates who had just crashed into the ship listened to their own captain's strange orders, and they were obviously in a good mood at the beginning, and they were aggressive. As the captain, Bucky fled into the cabin, as if seeing a scourge. Bucky, is this the way you see your elders? A voice came from behind, forcing Bucky to turn around with tears in his eyes. Ah, Mr. Adri, long time no see. Bucky wiped away the tears that were about to flow out of fright, and walked back with big strides. The pirates felt strange, and turned their suspicious eyes to Bucky, but they saw a strong and terrifying breath blowing past behind Adri, and all the pirates immediately signaled their captain to go quickly, their eyes full of sincerity. Bucky could only bite the bullet and step forward. Adri grabbed Bucky's face, smiled, and said, "A boy, I haven't seen you for so long, you're so awesome, you dare to rob my ship." Bucky laughed immediately. "No way, I came here specially when I saw you, old man." All the pirates behind him sighed. Bucky turned around. "You guys are making yarn." The pirates immediately returned to normal. How can they say that their captain is also a devil fruit capable user? It is too embarrassing to be pinched in the face and have to laugh with him. If it wasn't for the terrible breath on the other side, they would have rushed up long ago. If Bucky knew what they were thinking, he would probably vomit blood. If these minions don't know, why wouldn't he know? Bucky couldn't help but recall the situation back then. At that time, he was still a trainee member of the Roger Pirates. On that day, he only knew that they had a conflict with the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce. At that time, a person from the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce came to a tie with its own captain, Roger the Pirate King. Although the two only fought for one day, it was enough to shock Bucky. Later, this person became friends with Captain Roger, and they lived together on the ship for a long time, but the other party was not interested in other strong men, but liked children very much, but because of Bucky's fear and awe before, and did not get too close. This man is the man in front of him now, Mr. Ardley. Bucky was still exchanging respectful greetings, hoping that the other party's adults would not remember the villain's mistakes, for Roger's sake go around him. Adri smiled and looked at the stiff Bucky. He didn't say anything, but just motioned for no. To get something. Then no. Took out an old yellow map from a box and presented it to Adri. Adri unfolded the map and showed it to Bucky. Bucky thought why, but just took a closer look, and immediately shouted excitedly. "This is Captain Joseph's treasure map. It's real. Give it to you." "Huh? Just give it to me like this?" Bucky looked at the treasure map already in his hand, and immediately put it away, for fear that Adri would go back. But Adri just waved his hand and said, "Of course, I wanted to give it to you at the beginning, but I didn't expect you child to be so afraid of me. Ha? What the hell? I would have known earlier. Bucky immediately hated Iron for being weak and blamed his former self. Mr. Adri, my respect and love for you is like a torrent of seawater. What do you see? Okay, I see, you money grubber, I'll give you another one, number 2. No. Took out another picture and handed it over. Oh. It's Captain Margarita's treasure map. Get rich. Mr. Adri, in the future, you will be the only person in my mind who is second to the captain. I can't express my feelings for you now. It's so overwhelming. Surging, let me completely bow down to you, be willing to bow down, be convinced, respectful, unmatched, highly respected, and worshipped like a god. At this time, a group of pirates despised their own captain and kept smacking their lips. But Bucky didn't bother to pay attention to them. He still kept his eyes on the treasure map and was still dancing. Okay, Bucky, I think you can't wait, go find the treasure. By the way, I heard that Shanks is also nearby, please say hello to me then. Okay, no problem, what? Shanks is also in the East China Sea? Good guy, I must make that guy pay the price, no, say hello. Bucky and the others happily left by boat, and Bucky kept waving on the boat and shouting. Mr. Adri, remember to call me next time you have a treasure map. A few days later. A foreigner came to the unremarkable windmill village, because most people would go to the Goa kingdom on the other side of the island. The arrival of this outsider has attracted a lot of attention. After all, the red-haired pirates came here not long ago, and the Navy Garp will also come, but it is rare for them to see a small ship come. Only one person got off, and after the person got off, the boat drove away. But the person who came down was wearing a suit, without any other decorations, and looked clean and neat. He also wore a long top hat on his head, short black hair, and obvious white hair on his temples. Box, dressed as an aristocrat. This sound of dressing up has attracted many people to watch, and one of the elderly people stepped forward. Hi, I'm the village head of this village. Excuse me, did you come to the wrong place? The kingdom of Goya is on the other side of the island. The man leaned over and asked. Excuse me, is this the windmill village? Yes. Then I'm not wrong. Excuse me, if I remember correctly, there is a bar nearby. The owner's name is Maggie, isn't it? Indeed, it's just that the owner of the bar has changed. It's Maggie's daughter, Makino. Maggie passed away a long time ago. That's really sad, please show me the way. The village chief dismissed the onlookers and led the way, but began to doubt the man's age. After all, it was more than 10 years ago that Mathieu was in charge of the family. Adri opened the door and entered the bar, and immediately saw Makino, who was wearing a headscarf and had dark green hair. Makino was also curious about the face of this student, but she still smiled and asked. What do customers want? Just a glass of beer, and your eyes are just like your mother's. Makino's hand wiping the wineglass stopped suddenly. You know my mother? I saw it in the early years, but it's a pity that your hair color is different from his. It seems that the guest does know my mother, so, since he is my mother's old friend, I'll buy this glass of beer. No, I actually came here to inquire about an old friend of mine. Speaking of which, Adri put 1,000 Baileys on the table. Makino quickly waved his hand. If the guests just need to inquire about the old people, the beer money is enough, not so much. No, that person is still very important to me, it's worth the money. Makino didn't refute when he handed over the beer, but he didn't accept the money either. The guest wants to know who it is. Since you know my mother, the person you know should be quite old. I'm not sure I know it. It's okay, I'll just ask. Do you have a lady with orange-red hair? Of course, she may already have children or grandchildren. Her name is Callie Dayton. End of this chapter. Chapter 56 Dayton. Chapter 56 Dayton. At this moment, Adri is walking to Mount Gorpo, where the Dayton family lives. Dayton is a bandit. This is what Adri learned from Makino, but this did not prevent Adri from looking for her. Before he came to a house, he still knocked on the door. The man who opened the door was a man with a scarf on his head. The other party looked at Adri and said, The kingdom of Goa is over there. I'm here to find Dayton. That short sentence made someone in the room rush over in surprise, and what caught his eyes was a bloated woman with a cigarette in her mouth. When Dayton saw the person in front of him, the cigarette dropped from his mouth. The younger brother who opened the door before asked, "Boss, what's wrong?" Dayton signaled him to shut up. His face immediately changed into a fierce look, and he said viciously, "We don't have a person named Dayton, get out of here." The younger brother on the side was very puzzled. Obviously his boss was named Dayton. Adri responded with a smile at Dayton, "Your orange-red hair is still the same as before, but messier than before." Dayton was taken aback for a moment, then immediately recovered, as if he had made up his mind. "I don't know what you're talking about, get out." "Dayton, there's no need. You still wear the earrings I gave you before." Dayton touched his ears, no longer denied it, snorted coldly, and then sighed again. The younger brother on the side was a little dumbfounded, and now they are a little confused. Dayton's earrings were actually given by this gentle and elegant man. Dayton let Adri go in, and Adri found a random place and sat down. "Hey, why are you looking for me? If you just came to see me, you would have seen it too. Hey equals my body has turned into this, humph." Dayton's words are like a young girl's coquetry. Although it looks strange in this body, it is different in Adri's eyes, because the shadow of seeing Dayton for the first time appeared in Adri's mind. The figures overlapped like this. Adrian replied with a smile. "Come give you something back, come visit you." As Adri said, he took out a silk bag from the upper pocket of his suit, took out a rubber band from it, and handed it to Dayton. Dayton took it over, looked at it, and immediately froze. The surprise in his eyes appeared on his face. He didn't say much, and then his face returned to calm. He cut it, and put the rubber band in his pocket as well. The younger brothers eat melons all the time. I wanted to watch something interesting, but I didn't expect it to be like this. Dayton resumed his ferocity. "Everything is fine, you old bastard, you can get out." Dayton was puzzled. The reason why she recognized Adri at once was because Adri had hardly changed. After so many years, Adri had not changed much except for his gray hair. The clothes they met. Adri pointed to his suitcase. "I'll come to live with you for a while." "Huh? Why should I want it?" I saw Adri took out a few Baileys. "Don't think you are." Adri added a few more. "It's not about money." Adri continued to add money. "Okay, you can stay here for a while." Dayton compromised. There was no way that the family's expenses were a bit high, and with another child, Dayton was exhausted. Dayton asked the stunned younger brothers to collect the money, so as not to be embarrassing, then sat casually opposite Adri, raised Erlang's legs, lit a cigarette, and mocked, "You are still the same, what's the matter? Bankrupt, or are you running away from hunting?" Adri didn't care, but stood up, approaching like Dayton. Seeing Adri approaching with malicious intentions, Dayton quickly leaned back. "Hey, what are you doing so close?" Adri didn't respond, but continued to lean over, with one hand propped on the sofa, his face getting closer and closer to Dayton. Dayton closed his eyes, and said in his mouth, "Don't mess around." But the face was very honest and he leaned over. What he imagined did not come, and Adri took away the cigarette that Dayton was smoking, walked back, picked up the cigarette and continued smoking, not forgetting to rub Dayton's head. "Silly girl, what are you thinking about?" Adri is indeed qualified to say that, although Adri looks young, but in fact, Adri is around older. Adrian, who returned to his seat, smoked a cigarette leisurely. "You smoke less." Dayton, who was teased and turned into a rage, crossed his hands, looked at Adri viciously, and spat. A group of people watching the theater hiding outside the door side, and when Dayton turned his head, they immediately walked in pretending nothing happened. Dayton continued to face Adri. "I'm already this old, I still have to listen to you. Hell, how long do you plan to live here? Let me tell you in advance, I have 3 little devils here." "Your son?" "Basically, they're annoying." "It's okay, I like children and I'm very energetic." I just didn't expect that the little girl back then would suddenly become a bandit boss and have children. Adri was a little emotional. "What about you? You didn't say what's going on with you. What happened to your business?" "No, it's just that I let my son take over my job, and I will come out to play." "Oh, your son. Son. You have a son? Dayton rose up against the crime, emotionally. Get rid of it, say you are a silly girl, you are really a silly girl, you have a son, I will not. Besides, I actually have a grandson. This is different. I was just entrusted by someone to take care of those children. No, when did you get married? Who is the other party? Can you actually fall in love with me? Dayton had a series of questions he wanted to ask, but Adrian was still drinking tea calmly, and then handed Dayton a cup of tea to signal him to calm down, and then began to slowly narrate, I'm not married, but I have adopted 3 children in total, 2 boys and 1 girl, all good children, that's all. That's it, no wonder, I was scared to death, and I was thinking of you moving so fast. Dayton relieved his breath, but there was still sadness in his eyes. As if thinking of something, Adri took out a card from his pocket and handed it over. Dayton took it and said doubtfully, What is this? Shopping card. Shopping card? What are you doing for me? Meeting ceremony, I haven't seen you for so long, I need a gift. I wanted to pick flowers for you on the way, but unfortunately I didn't have one, so I thought about using Bailey to pick one for you, but I thought it was too little. So I just gave you a card, and when you have nothing to do, you can go to any Chamber of Commerce in the Shanghai Chamber of Commerce to spend. Yes. Dayton hesitated a bit, and planned to return it to Adri, but Adri refused. There is only a little money in it, you can just look at the flowers, this is my heart. Really only a little? Dayton was dubious, and it was completely impossible based on her understanding of Adri. Seeing this, Adrian could only breathe a sigh of relief. Okay, not a little bit, just accept it as a gift from me to those 3 little brats who haven't met. When Dayton saw that Adri said this, he no longer refused, and put the card away. Suddenly, the door was opened. Dayton, we're back. The 3 little ones broke into the gate and shouted loudly. Let me see how many people can be called Dayton's silly girl. End of this chapter. Chapter 57. Chapter 57 3 Little Ones. Dan, who is this? Asked a dark-haired boy with freckles. We hunted a lot of wild animals today. Said a boy in a top hat with a goggle hanging from it, and a tooth missing from his mouth. Yo, Dayton, we're back. The kid in the straw hat greets Dayton. The 3 who broke in are the ASL combination, Ace, Sabo, and Luffy. Dayton looked at the 3 restless guys and shouted, Don't you 3 brats barge in like this every time. Go and clean yourself. Then he called a few younger brothers to get the 3 children out. No. Why? This is not fair. After the noisy voice, Dayton said helplessly. What a joke, those brats just now belong to my family. It's okay. It's a good thing that children are energetic. I'm really looking forward to getting to know them. Adrian said thoughtfully. Soon, the unwilling trio was pulled over and introduced one by one in front of Adri. When it was time to introduce Adri, Dayton hesitated for a moment before saying, This is Adri, my old friend, and I will live here for a while. Ace said mercilessly, He's so young, Dayton, how could you know such a handsome man? Hey, Ace. She was pretty when she was young, wasn't she, Adri? Dayton punches Ace hard and asks Adri for confirmation. Adri nodded and said Dayton was a beautiful woman when she was young. Ah, is it true or not? Liar, how could you have seen the photos of Dayton when he was young? Luffy pouted at the side, and Sabo also looked incredulous. Adri had no choice but to open the suitcase he carried with him, found a photo and handed it to the 2. The 2 of them immediately went up to look at it, still in disbelief. It's amazing. Dayton can change faces. Stupid, it's not a face change, it's, what's it called, old and decrepit. Ace also leaned over, attracted by the people in the photo. How is it possible? There are simply 2 people, you won't lie to us, will you? Dayton silently listened to the conversation of several people, his veins exposed. You guys give me enough. Even so, Dayton looked at the person in the photo with a trace of nostalgia. Adri added with a smile, Actually, I am much older than Dayton. What the hell? It's easier to accept than the person in the photo is Dayton. Yes. Listening to the conversation, Dayton clenched his fists, and he was about to smash them one by one. Adri waved his hand and explained, my grandson is about your age. It's amazing. So amazing. I do not believe. Maybe you two will become good friends in the future. The start of dinner interrupted the conversation of several people. When they heard the meal, the three of them ran faster than anyone else. At dinner, Sabo noticed sharply that Adri's dining etiquette was extremely standard. Although it was slightly different from that of the local nobles, it was full of elegance and generosity. In the evening, when a few bastards rolled onto the bed, Dayton was looking at the moon outside, rather thinking about life. What are you thinking about? Adri came over and sat next to Dayton. Dayton glanced at Adri, who came over, sighed slightly, did not answer, but said, "Can you give me that photo from before?" "No." "Why?" Dayton was surprised by Adri's refusal so flatly. "Because I want to keep it as a souvenir." Commemorate my lost youth?" Dayton laughed at himself, a trace of disappointment flashed in his eyes. Adri answered without hesitation, "Yes, that's right, silly girl." "Ha? Try calling me a silly girl again." Dayton pretended to be angry. "Adri is also very rare to molested to silly girl, I will call you." Then he went back without giving Dayton a chance to beat him up. Dayton was left alone again. And a small figure suddenly appeared in the darkness. It was Ace. Ace walked over arrogantly with his arms in his arms. "Stinky boy, why aren't you sleeping yet?" Dayton complained. Ace just sat beside him, looked at Dayton, and said, "Dayton, you treat that person differently." "What's the difference? We're all friends anyway." Dayton's eyes dodged a little, but he regained his firmness, and urged Ace to roll off to sleep. Ace left without saying anything. Get along with each other for a few days. The three little ones still like Adri very much, because Adri is not as rigid as they imagined, but is very funny, and is willing to accompany them in activities. Although they refused at first, but after seeing Adri easily subdued, it was only when they became the king of Gorbo Mountain that they discovered that the gentle Adri was far from being as simple as it seemed. "Adri, I want to challenge you," Ace said excitedly. Adrian looked as usual. "Ace, if you want to call me grandpa, my age should be your grandpa. If you can beat me, I'll call it that." Ace rushed up directly with the water hose, but Adri just dodged it sideways, and then took advantage of the trend again, pushing Ace to the ground. Ace, who ate a dog gnawing mud, immediately expressed dissatisfaction. "Never mind, let's play another round." Ace took another stride before losing seconds later. "One more round. One more round. Come again. Come again. Come again." In the end, Ace was so tired that he was sweating profusely and collapsed on the ground. Adri looked at Sabo, who was counting aside. "Sabo, how many games did Ace lose?" "Grandpa Adri, a total of 20. It's too powerful, I have never beaten Ace." Sabo showed a look of admiration on the side, but Ace obviously refused to accept it, because Adri didn't use his full strength throughout the whole process, and even kept his hands in his pockets most of the time. Adri stepped forward, raised his eyebrows, and said, "Ace, call me grandpa." Ace murmured in a low voice with extreme reluctance, "Grandpa Adri." Then he yelled again, "You wait, I will challenge again tomorrow." "Whatever." Ace regretted leaving, and Luffy jumped out. "Grandpa Adri, it's my turn. As long as I beat you, it means I'm stronger than Ace and Sabo." Sabo persuaded from the side. "Luffy, you can't beat Ace, let alone Grandpa Adri." "That's right, you idiot have lost to me hundreds of times, and you haven't won even once." Ace made up the knife on the side. This made Luffy even more unhappy, determined to fight. As expected, total defeat. Luffy was lying on the ground with the big bag on his head, and asked Sabo, "Sabo, how many times did I hit?" .50 sticks. "Oi! Ace, I have more rounds than you." Luffy made a comparison, which directly angered Ace. "Luffy, you idiot, what are you so proud of?" Ace couldn't help but punched again. If you have any opinions, just mention them, I should bear it. End of this chapter. Chapter 58 Carp is here. Chapter 58 Carp is here today. Dayton's family welcomes a guest, Carp. Carp saw Adri stunned for a moment, pushed the door out, and reconfirmed that he was right. Dayton was about to introduce Adri, but Carp came forward to say hello very familiarly, and directly hooked his shoulders and said, "Hey, isn't this Adri? Why come here when you have time?" Garp then whispered, "You didn't catch me here on purpose, did you?" It's not to blame Carp for being suspicious, just because he is indeed hiding from Adri. After all, he was the one who tied Adri's son to the boat. Now that this happened, he was partly to blame, so when he saw Adri when he entered the door, Garp thought he was hallucinating. "Carp, we haven't seen each other for a while, and I really should catch you about what happened before." Carp heard Adrian say these words in a gloomy manner, and quickly let go of Adri. "We have to talk about martial arts." Dayton looked at the two people coming and going, wondering, "You two know each other?" Garp immediately patted his chest. "Of course, old friend." Adri sat down, took a sip of tea lightly, and said in a bad tone, "An old friend also abducted my precious son to serve in the Navy and almost died." Carp shivered, touched the back of his head, and quickly explained, "That boy Rosie's going to join the Navy himself." But anyone with a discerning eye could see that Carp was lying, pouted, and didn't dare to look directly at Adri. Adri didn't bother to pursue it, and waved his hand. "Forget it, Garp, why are you here?" "Shouldn't I ask you this? The old man came here to see his grandson." "I know Dayton, and I will stay here for a few days. Grandson? Are those 3 boys your grandson?" "3? The old man only has 2 grandchildren. Oh, by the way, the other one is called Sabo, right? He plays with Ace and Luffy." "Ace and Luffy are your grandsons?" "I can't tell, especially Ace. I think he looks like someone." Adri shook his head, thinking about something. But Garp was obviously a little panicked, and deliberately interrupted. "The old man hasn't seen those little brats yet. Man, I heard that they still want to be pirates." Seeing Carp interrupt the topic, Adri didn't say anything, but just answered they are probably outside. "Do you want to go and find them together?" Adri said, took another sip of tea, pointed outside, and looked at Carp. Garp nodded, also tore open a pack of senbei, stuffed it into his mouth, nodded vaguely and went with Adri. Seeing the two of them constantly playing charades, Dayton decided not to get involved. Threesome training each other in the woods. Luffy was defeated again, sitting on the ground. Luffy said seriously, "I seem to hear Grandpa's voice." "Hey, Luffy, don't make such an excuse if you lose. Grandpa Adri is still resting." Sabo, who defeated Luffy, rubbed his nose and said, "It's not Grandpa Adri, it's my own grandpa." Okay, I won't." Sabo's words were interrupted by Ace. Ace gestured. "I have bad feelings too." Afterwards, Ace vaguely saw a figure in the woods. His face sank immediately, and he shouted a run. "The smelly old man is here?" Sabo hasn't reacted yet, he just froze in place. "Stinky old man?" Garp. Before Sabo could finish speaking, a figure flashed past and directly punched Sabo in the head. He had already grabbed Ace's clothes in his hands, and his feet had already stepped on Luffy, who was about to escape. Ace looked at Garp with a hideous face at this time, and shouted, "Stinky old man, let me down quickly." Without saying a word, Garp gave Ace an iron fist of love, and by the way, he also gave Luffy a fist. It caused a big bag on the heads of the two of them in an instant. At this time, Adri also came out, smacked his lips and said to Carp, "It's not good for you to treat children like this." Then he snatched the 3 little ones from Kapuna. Luffy immediately hugged his thigh and complained, "Grandpa Adri, he bullied me." Cap immediately complained, "Hey, this old man is your grandpa." But it was obvious that none of the 3 little ones responded. Instead, Ace asked, "Grandpa Adri, do you know the smelly old man?" Adri thought for a while, and replied affirmatively. "Yes, I know Cap. I was in the Navy too." Sabo raised his head and asked, "Grandpa Adri, you used to be a Navy? Then why am I not now?" "Yes, Grandpa Adri, what's so good about being a Navy?" Luffy looked at Garp angrily. Adri explained, "So I quit at an early age, but Carp and a few others had been in the Navy. Sabo was a little disappointed that he didn't get a definite answer, but he quickly cheered up. Grandpa Adri, are you a pirate? Come on my boat. Adri touched Luffy's little head and refused to know. Grandpa is a businessman, but one of Grandpa's sons is a pirate, and now he is a big pirate. Amazing! Luffy shouted excitedly. This sentence also gave Ace and Sabo a new sense of Adri. At least the other party does not hate pirates. Garp, who was standing on the side, picked his nose and complained, "Oh, what's so good about being a businessman, Adri? I think you can't even beat me now. And your kid has caused a lot of trouble." Wow, Grandpa Adri's son is also so powerful that even Grandpa finds it troublesome. Ace and Sabo began to be curious about Adri's son again. After all, he is a big pirate. Maybe they will meet each other while galloping on the sea in the future. Adri smiled, but looking carefully, he could feel a trace of anger in Adri. He pushed the three little ones back. "You guys go back first, I'll have a good chat with your Grandpa Garp." Adri moved his muscles and bones, and the sound of clicking sounded one after another. Ace asked, "Are you sure? The smelly old man is amazing." "Don't worry, Carp never beat me," Adrian said lightly. "Hey, Adrian, you're not serious, are you?" Garp took a step back. Adri stepped forward and said, "Of course, it's better to treat the old and the new together." Then, a gust of wind blew by, and Adri disappeared in an instant. Similarly, Carp also disappeared. The three little ones looked around, and saw that there was a loud noise from the distant mountains, and there was smoke and dust everywhere, forming a big pit. This time, the three of them were extremely surprised, and Ace also truly realized the horror of Adri's combat power. All three of them thought silently. In the future, they will all become stronger than Adri. This is how the seeds of wanting to become stronger are planted. At the same time, on the other side of the mountain, Carp looked a little embarrassed, standing up straight with difficulty. "Adri, are you really, as for?" Garp tapped his back, pretending to be in pain. But Adrian knew that Garp was pretending, so he shook his hand and moved his wrist. "Okay, Garp, stop pretending, it's too fake, show your strength." After Garp heard this, he immediately returned to normal. You must know that Adri's impact has already sunk this place by a few meters, and even the surrounding trees are not complete, only fragments remain. Garp stretched his waist and said helplessly, "Isn't it necessary?" Adri returned to normal, with his hands attached, and replied, "In no way, it's too hard to find someone who can play to my heart's content these days." "Really? Then let me meet and see if you have made any progress." Garp is gearing up, eager to try. The two jumped up at the same time and changed the fighting venue. When the two reappeared, a full day had passed. The three little ones had been waiting for them to go back, very worried. Finally, at dusk the next day, I saw two figures. A stronger figure was a little unsteady and shuffled along. Another taller figure walked leisurely with his back straight. The three little ones came forward immediately, and couldn't help laughing as soon as they got closer. I saw Carp's clothes were disheveled, and there was a big bruise on his face, while Adri's clothes and hats were neat, without even a trace of dust, still so polite. Garp gave each of these little guys an iron fist of love at once. Ace is still asking who will win. But Adri just shook his head and said the duel of the strong is not enough for one day. But Luffy thought in his heart that his grandfather, who has always been so powerful, would have a day of embarrassment, which shocked Luffy a lot. In his heart, Adri's strength may already be higher than that of Garp. And the facts are almost the same. Carp is also very puzzled. Adri is much stronger than when he left the Navy. It is outrageous. Although Carp fought with Adri even harder in the past, it is rare to be beaten so embarrassingly like now, not to mention that Adri seems to be able to handle it with ease. It can be seen that Adri did not relax after leaving the Navy. This also made Garp remember silently in his heart. But now, the most important thing is how to explain the bruise on his face when he goes back. If he is seen by the warring states, he will definitely be laughed at. Ah ha ha ha. End of this chapter. Chapter 59 Ant and Amp, #039, S another tea club invitation. Chapter 59 Aunties another tea party invitation. Adri left, after just 1 month of residency. Before leaving, Ace only knew that Adri had a private chat with Dayton. Later, Dayton burst into tears. Obviously Ace knew that Adri did not bully Dayton. When Adri was leaving, he also came to them. At that time, Adri patted Ace on the head and taught. As a big brother, you have to look like a big brother and protect your younger brothers at all times. At that time, it was rare for Ace to resist and refute. Adri talked to all three of them one by one. Ace didn't know what he said. He only knew that Sabo seemed to be a lot better after listening to Adri's words. As for Luffy, he was just happier and changed the depression of parting. In the end, Adri took a phone bug from the suitcase and handed it to the three little ones, and told them his personal phone number, and he could call him when something happened. He also said that he was waiting for them at sea. When they go out to sea one day, remember to come to him to catch up with this old man. Adri left anyway, took a deep look at Sabo and Ace, and Luffy, who was still eating meat heartlessly and happily, turned and left. Adri returned to the windmill village at the foot of the mountain with his suitcase. Just like when he first came here, he was still so gentlemanly and polite. Adri of the Goa Kingdom is not going to go, it is not very good there. Adri is too lazy to go. Adri went to the bar and said goodbye to Makino briefly, and then came to the port, where there were already ships waiting. Adri is like a passerby in the windmill village and hastily left. But the old village head looked at Adri's back in a daze, and he finally remembered that he had seen exactly the same figure before. Back in the cabin, no, and are already on standby. This time, Adri is preparing to go back. It's been far enough, and the time is a bit long, and Adri has to go back to see his grandson. But what Adri didn't know was that after he finished telling Sabo, the plot continued to flow. But this kind of thing is irrelevant to Adri, what he is after is just a happy ending. Since what will happen in the middle is inevitable, then take it as a test. As long as the ending is good, the previous test will not be in vain. After a while, Adri returned home. Luo Sinan looked at her father, who was wandering around the house with a resentful expression, and was very dissatisfied with his father's behavior of throwing away the shopkeeper. But in fact, when he was older, he hadn't handed over all the rights, but handed over all the obvious things to Luo Sinan. The secret carnival is still under Adri's private control, not to mention whether Ross Indy can control it. It's good if there is no conflict in his heart. Sure enough, in this regard, Ross Indy didn't see it clearly, and he needed to correct it. So as soon as he got home, Adri approached Luo, ignored this guy, Luo Shindi, and let him experience the dangers in the world. Luo also misses Adri a lot. After all, he is an extremely kind old man. Of course, if this word is heard by others, Luo may just be sprayed. Adri went to the East China Sea this time and collected a lot of medical books and notes of famous doctors, enough for Luo to read for a while, and Luo's love for this aspect is no less than Robin's enthusiasm for historical texts. Luo spent almost most of his time at Adri's private doctor, discussing with these doctors. Through the convenience of the surgical results, he successfully solved many problems with the doctors, which made Luo have an excellent reputation among the doctors at home, and everyone liked him very much. This talented young master. A certain young master also liked the atmosphere here very much, which made him feel like a spring breeze. Of course, on weekdays, I will also help Luo Shidi a little, and occasionally call Adri, an old man who is away from home. Although Adri looks young, his actual age always makes Luo worry about Adri's health, so he is still careful. Better. Every time he enters his library, it is like following a maze. If he is not guided by someone, he is afraid that he will not be able to get out, but sometimes in the library, he will see the hands and eyes of his Aunt Robin. It was scary when I saw it for the first time, but I was relieved when I found out that it was my aunt's fruit ability. The reason why Luo can live a happy life is also due to Luo Shindi. Since Luo recovered, Luoxindi has been saying there not to trust others, for fear that Luo will perform immortality surgery on others, and then he can only watch Luo die. Luoxindi is not sure about his father's ability, but this does not hinder him worry. Luo also asked curiously if he could perform an operation on Rock Indy, but Rock Indy refused sternly and seriously, saying that he had no idea about that, but instead kept saying that he should not trust others. Except the family, excluding Doflamingo. He also deliberately warned Doflamingo, although Doflamingo has repeatedly stated that he does not want the ageless surgery, but he has no idea that Luo will come to him to help him. The fruit of the surgery is also very popular in combat, and his nephew helped him. There is nothing wrong with helping his uncle. So Luo Xindi specially gave Luo a small class about not trusting her brother. But Luo actually doesn't have a good impression of Doflamingo if he doesn't use these things. He has decided. Didn't Grandpa Adri say that when he grows up, he can fight Doflamingo? To avenge Rosindi, let Doflamingo try to die, Sundara Luo said so. Naturally, now that Grandpa Adri is back, naturally he can't tell Rosindi directly. I have to say that the only person in the whole family who is most favored is naturally Aunt Robin. Luo is also very clear. After all, Robin is the only girl in the family. Both Rosindi and Doflamingo cherish this little girl very much, and it is probably formed under the leadership of Adri. As a result, Luo also knew that he had to protect his aunt from childhood and keep her from being harassed by smelly men outside. Also because of Adri's return, another family dinner was held at home. Adri is still drinking red wine as a gentleman, but if you are careful, you will find that Adri wears a jade finger ring on his hand. A family dinner was over, and Adrian's life was peaceful again, except for the occasional tea party at Big Mom's. Because this time, it is not only for the birth of the 80th son of the aunt, but also for the first time that Adri will appear at the tea party as the Dark Force and the King of the Sea, instead of going to the Cake Island in a private name in the past. The tea party this time is not for the 80th son who came from the aunt, but to celebrate the current status of Wandao, and hold a marriage wedding incidentally. So this tea party has an unprecedented lineup, countless invitations were sent out, and Adri just received one. Come on, criticize me to your heart's content. Whispering softly, end of this chapter. Chapter 60 Doflamingo and Amp, hashtag 039, S-Plan. Chapter 60 Doflamingo's Plan a Bottle? Doflamingo took out a bottle of fine wine and handed it to the person in front of him. The other person was wearing a black top hat with white fluff on his head. Under the top hat were a pair of sharp yellow eyes like eagles, short black hair, and wearing a wine red pattern. On the back of the shirt, there is a black knife about the same height as others. Hawkeye my hawk. The other party glanced at it, did not refuse, took the bottle and began to drink. At this time he was a little tired. The two sat in a luxurious place that belonged to Doflamingo. Doflamingo is also wearing a burgundy shirt and tie today, and the pink feather coat he wears all year round. He took out 2 wine glasses from the cupboard, and took a new bottle of wine. You must know that the bottle of wine that Hawkeye took just now is out of print, and one bottle can even cost tens of millions of Baileys. At this time, Doflamingo took out another bottle that was better than this one, poured it into a goblet, and handed the glass to Hawkeye again. When Hawkeye saw the label on this bottle of wine, he couldn't help raising his eyebrows. It was obvious that he also knew this bottle of wine and its value, so he took it with great anticipation. Doflamingo raised his wine glass high and said in celebration, "My hawk, congratulations on becoming the strongest swordsman in the world." Hawkeye nodded slightly in agreement, but still whispered, "It's just a false name." Afterwards, Hawkeye observed the fineness of the wine, held the stem of the glass with his hand, swung the glass to make it rotate clockwise, then brought the mouth of the glass close to his nose, took a deep breath, and slowly tasted. The aroma became stronger and stronger, so strong that people are a little reluctant to drink it. After smelling it, try it, take a sip, hold it in your mouth, and then swallow it. Hawkeye continued to savor the taste, and the expression on his face became relieved. "Good wine. Of course, this belongs to my family." Hawkeye didn't reply, just took another sip and continued to savor it. Doflamingo smiled, continued to serve fine wine for the other party, and praised. "You are a man who has fought against the 4 emperors' red hair. How is the other party?" "Nice guy, a good drinking buddy." "Really, that's really good." Doflamingo sat on the sofa with a rather gloomy face. "Dover, you're mad," Hawkeye said calmly as if nothing could fool his eyes. Doflamingo waved his hand and said casually, "You also know what kind of person I am, so it means that that guy is not suitable to be my ally. Just like you, he is only suitable to be a drinking friend." After Doflamingo finished speaking, he took a sip of his wine, looking a little disappointed. "Indeed, it's not suitable." Hawkeye didn't say much, and agreed with this aspect. Even Hawkeye didn't expect that he would befriend someone who was not in the field of swordsman at all, but after meeting in Luaga town back then, it was hard to forget the delicious taste of that wine. After that, his relationship with Doflamingo became more and more profound. He was the most drinking buddy, and the other party was still very good. Obviously, Doflamingo also knows this truth. It's not that he hasn't tried to invite Hawkeye to come to his ship, but the first rejection is enough, and there is no need to ask the second time. We'll lose friendship. What kind of person Hawkeye is, Doflamingo knows very well. Maintaining such a relationship is enough. Doflamingo didn't ask much, just friendship, so he changed the subject. There is some news from the government. Really? Hawkeye stopped what he was doing. He knew very well that Doflamingo was well informed and naturally knew that what Doflamingo said next was of some importance. The government plans to implement the Shichibukai system. Whether or not it agrees has become one of the issues at this year's World Conference. That's it. Doflamingo continued, glancing at Hawkeye. What do you think, this Shichibukai system? Hawkeye lowered the brim of his hat and said, "This way I can avoid a lot of trouble and obstacles." Me too. Once this policy is implemented, I will also take a seat, although this behavior will be disgusted by both parties. It is true that no one can avoid it. In the pirate world, they are government eagle dogs, and in the Navy, they will also be excluded because of their pirate status. But excluding these useless side effects, the benefits and privileges it brings can be said to make Doflamingo very excited. But Doflamingo seriously doubts that Hawkeye is completely useless in terms of legal robbery. Even Doflamingo was curious about why a guy like Hawkeye became a pirate instead of a bounty hunter. Maybe he was more free. What Hawkeye wanted was that no one could disturb him to learn sword skills. Doflamingo watched Hawkeye leave, sat alone on a chair and sipped the wine, then took out a black notebook from his pocket, looked at the notes on it, and took out a pen to scribble somewhere. After a while, put it away carefully again. This habit was learned from Adelina. When Adrian did not meet certain special circumstances, he would open the notebook he carried with him to record or look up something. When Doflamingo asked, he just told Doflamingo that this notebook was a recorded. Although it is very dangerous to record something, it will be very troublesome if it is lost, but the existence of this book will make Doflamingo feel at ease. Moreover, Doflamingo will not write some really important things in it, but will put some false and fabricated information in it. Among them, he intends to use it to pit his enemies at any time. It's like being called a diary, Adri said, who is a serious person who keeps a diary. Besides, how could he, Doflamingo, be able to write a diary? Even if he wanted to write it, he would hide it in the safest place in the world, because the diary carried his emotions and thoughts. As a qualified pirate lord, how could he? There may be such a thing, how is it possible? Doflamingo then called and asked Adri a few things. You should be able to change this matter a little. Doflamingo spoke in an absolute tone, as if revealing that I knew everything. Adri's voice came from the other end of the phone. Yes, but not this year. Why? Some wishes cannot be forced, otherwise it will be too obvious, and it will not be used unless it is a last resort. Well, it seems that you, Adrian, have even greater ambitions, fur. How can you say that? It's just a guarantee. Don't worry, Dover, I understand what you mean, but you still need to prepare for this matter. Next year, I can assure you that things will definitely come true. On the other end of the phone, Adri was stirring the coffee leisurely, and the coffee spoon collided with the cup wall to make a crisp sound, just like the confidence in Adri's words, and the indifference that everything is under control. Doflamingo drank the wine in his hand. Well, then, father, I wish you good health. Dover, I wish you prosperity in martial arts. Oh ho 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 ho. End of this chapter.